Part 227. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2262. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian carried a shoebox back with them. On the lid of the shoebox, several holes were poked in the brain shell, saying that this way, air would get in and the cicadas would not suffocate in the box. Tan Shahen, Qian, and Lu Ligan had woken up and were sitting on the sofa. When they saw two people coming in, Qian asked, what were they holding in their hands? Zhang Xiangzi told them that they knew cicadas and Lu Wenqian had dug them out of the ground. Lu Ligan became interested as soon as he heard this and shouted, show me quickly. Zhang Xiangzi walked over and put the shoebox on the coffee table. She didn't dare to open the box yet. She didn't know what happened in the box on the way they came. She was afraid that as soon as she opened it, the cicada would fly away. Lu Wenqian said, it doesn't matter, it's still early for its wings to grow. Zhang Xiangzi then opened the lid of the shoebox. The pupa inside was still the same as before, with no change at all. Zhang Xiangzi became anxious and asked, why is it still the same? Could it be dead? Lu Ligan said no, it would have to be left for a few days before it would break out of the cocoon. Lu Wenqian nodded repeatedly, proving that Lu Ligan was right. Lu Ligan looked at the pupae inside and laughed. He said that when we were children, we would dig there too, and there were most of them under the willow tree. He turned around and told Tan Shahen and the others that in just a blink of an eye, more than 40 years had passed. Tan Shahen scolded, I don't think you have grown up much. Qian giggled. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian were sitting on the ground, lying on the edge of the box and staring at it. Zhang Xiangzi asked, Uncle Pole, is this box too small? Lu Ligan said no to cicada, this box is equivalent to a big villa. It lives alone in a big villa and might be scared at night. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian giggled. Lu Ligan looked outside, stood up and said to Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian, let's go boating and rock climbing. Zixi, go put away the cicadas and put on your swimsuit. Zhang Xiangzi quickly took the box to the terrace and placed it on the bamboo bed. Thinking about it, he felt uneasy and put it under the bamboo bed. Lu Wenqian also took the newspaper Lu Ligan was reading in front of him from the lounge chair and told Zhang Xiangzi to cover it so the cat can't see it. Zhang Xiangzi used the newspaper to cover the shoebox. The three people walked to the dock. Haitan saw them from a distance and greeted Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan gave him a cigarette and looked outside the dock. All the boats were gone. Haitantu said that at this time, the most people come to row boats. Many people go out for swimming in rowing boats and do not want to swim in the swimming pool. When will you come back? Lu Ligan asked. That's not certain, Haitantu said. When Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian heard this, they were almost crying. Zhang Xiangzi complained, I told you to come earlier, but now there are no ships. Haitantu quickly said, don't cry, I will think of a solution for you. Haitantu thought for a moment and asked Lu Ligan, does it not matter if the boat is broken a little? Lu Ligan said it didn't matter, as long as he could row. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian also nodded. Haitantu picked up the walkie-talkie and muttered in the local dialect. After a while, a boat rowed over. This was the boat of the fishing team, parked at the fish stake. The boater was the one who took Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian out in the morning. That young man. Come up, give me the boat, Lu Ligan said to the young man. The young man looked at Lu Ligan and smiled, Mr. Lu, let me flatter you. Can I help you row? Lu Ligan said, okay, let's get started. Lu Ligan asked Haitantu for an orange life jacket, put it on for Lu Wenqian, and tied the strap on the chest with a slip knot. It was hot in the summer, and she wore a life jacket outside her swimsuit. It was a bit stuffy. Lu Wenqian asked, why didn't my sister wear one? Lu Ligan said to her, sister, I know how to swim. When you learn how to swim, you don't need to wear them. Lu Wenqian pursed her lips, but still accepted it. The three people got on the boat. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian sniffed. There was a fishy smell in the cabin, but they couldn't care less. It would be nice if there was a boat to go out. When the boat rowed out for more than 10 meters, Lu Ligan shouted, "It's too hot. It's too hot." He took off his clothes and jumped into the water. Zhang Xiangzi saw it and wanted to follow him. Lu Ligan quickly said, "No, the water is here too deep." Zhang Xiangzi also pursed his lips. "You run, I'll chase you," Lu Ligan said. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian immediately said yes, yes. The young man also became excited. He told Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian, "You two, sit down." "Not yet, Mr. Lu," the young man asked. Lu Ligan's hand was originally on the side of the boat. He released his hand, leaned back, bounced his legs twice, left the boat 2 meters away, and said start. The young man rowed hard, and the oars stirred up a lot of water. Lu Ligan also swam forward desperately, swimming in a freestyle style, and the water splashed behind him. The two girls' faces turned red, and they shouted to the young man at the top of their lungs, come on, brother, come on." At the beginning, the boat and Lu Ligan moved forward in parallel, regardless of height. After 30 or 40 meters, Lu Ligan was gradually pulled away. He changed his swimming style and started to use breaststroke, and the speed slowed down. Coming down, the distance becomes even greater. They passed the rock climbing area, and now even Zhang Xiangzi had forgotten to go rock climbing, but kept shouting for come on. The young man rowed towards the inside of the reservoir. When he saw that he and Lu Lizang were far apart, he lowered his paddle frequency and slowed down, waiting for Lu Lizang to catch up. When Lu Ligan was about to catch up, Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian screamed at the same time, we're catching up, brother." The young man rowed a few times to widen the distance. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian giggled as they looked at Lu Ligan behind them. Lu Ligan had also changed his swimming style to backstroke at this time. When he was about to catch up, Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian shouted again. The young man paddled a few times, and then widened the distance. They continued like this, waiting, chasing, etc., until they almost reached the end of the reservoir, where the viewing point was. The platform is there. After swimming 400 to 500 meters, Lu Ligan finally couldn't swim anymore. He cursed at the young man. "You humming, wait for me." The young man laughed playfully and stopped paddling. He waited for Lu Li to come up with the pole and put his hand on the side of the boat. "Are you convinced?" the young man asked. "Me," Lu Lizan said, "if you have the guts, get rid of me now." "Shameless," the young man scolded. "Turn around and go to the rock climbing place," Lu Ligan said to the young man. The young man turned the bow of the boat. He was originally standing behind the boat and rowing. Now the stern became the bow. He was standing on the bow of the boat. Lu Li was facing up to the sky with his hands on the side of the boat and was carried away by the boat. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian looked at him laughing, as if they were escorting a prisoner of war off the battlefield. After a fierce battle in front of him, the young man was now a little tired. He rowed the boat, and his movements were a little stiff. Lu Li's pole man hung on the side of the boat and was dragged by the boat. It was very comfortable. After a while, after recovering, he started to act mischievously, pushing the side of the boat with his hands and kicking vigorously with his feet under the water, pushing the boat sideways. The young man rowed and felt something was wrong. The boat no longer moved forward, but stopped there, and there was a force pushing the bow of the boat to spin. The young man turned around and looked at Lu Ligan, who laughed loudly. "I'm going," the young man cursed and quickly picked up the oar. The boat soon turned sideways. The young man put the oar on the other side of the boat and rowed hard. An opposite force came over and pushed Lu Li. The pole was about to move back, but Lu Lipol quickly resisted. The two people were yelling at each other while exerting force, and the boat shook violently. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin's faces turned pale with fright, but they still screamed and laughed. The young man changed his strategy and no longer pushed the boat with Lu Li, but rowed forward, and the boat went out diagonally. Lu Ligan realized that he also changed his strategy, and no longer pushed the boat sideways, but grabbed it with his hands. He stood on the side of the boat and pushed hard towards the bow of the boat, trying to pull the boat back. The boat continued to move forward, but the speed slowed down a bit. The two sides were in a stalemate for more than 10 minutes. Lu Ligan couldn't stand it anymore and finally gave up. He supported the side of the boat with both hands and turned over to climb onto the boat. The boat tilted suddenly. Suddenly, the young man stumbled, Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin shouted, and then the boat returned to stability. Lu Ligan lay on his back in the cabin, gasping for air and shouting, "I'm exhausted." "Did you surrender?" Zhang Xiangzi asked. I surrender, thank you two heroines for not killing me," Lu Ligan said and made a gesture of surrender. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin giggled. "How can it be so cheap? Only if you take out the cigarettes can you surrender the gun and avoid killing," the young man said. Lu Ligan shouted, "I can't get up, you can get it yourself." The young man found a cigarette and a lighter from Lu Ligan's pocket, took out 2 cigarettes and lit them. He handed one to Zhang Xiangzi and gestured to Lu Ligan. Zhang Xiangzi took the cigarette to Lu Ligan, stuffed it into his mouth. The young man smoked a cigarette and sat down on the bow of the boat. What surprised Zhang Xiangzi was that while he was smoking, he started to control the oars with his feet. They arrived at the rock climbing area. They used red and white buoys to mark an area of more than 200 square meters under the rock wall, which prohibited ships from entering. This was to prevent people from falling off. If there were ships below, they would fall off. The person does not fall into the water, but hits the boat or the head of the person on the boat. Lu Ligan and Zhang Xiangzi got off the boat here and got under the buoy. Lu Wenqin sat on the boat and waited for them with the young man. There are already 6 or 7 people climbing on the rock wall. Half of the rock wall here is a natural rock wall, and the other half is man-made. On the man-made side, there are protruding places where you can grab your hands and climb. Kick your feet. Lu Ligan asked Zhang Xiangzi to climb up from the artificial rock wall. It was easier to climb here. To be on the safe side, he also tied the safety belt hanging from above for Zhang Xiangzi. Although he fell into the water below, but if it is high, it will be dangerous even if you fall into the water. With a safety belt, you can slow down the speed of your fall. Lu Ligan and Zhang Xiangzi said, "Zixi, don't hold on. If you don't have the strength, if you can't climb anymore, just pull the seat belt 3 times, and the people above will hoist you up." Zhang Xiangzi said yes. Lu Lipol patted her shoulder, "Don't be afraid, uncle is watching you below." Zhang Xiangzi nodded him. Zhang Xiangzi started to climb up, and Lu Ligan stepped back. He retreated to the side of the rubber boat where the safety officer was sitting. He put his hands on the rubber boat and looked at Zhang Xiangzi while chatting with the safety officer. "Thank you, Tin Soldier, the third one from top to bottom, for flipping through books every day, and for rewarding me with 2 fishes at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to the Evergreen Emperor Yan, Z. H. C. Romantic Cherry Blossoms, 48, Daos Hung 123, Feng Konghu 1974, Xiang J, Zongkai 727, Bamus Yaolong, Little Janitor, Wang Konghua, Wang San Tung, Lelagia Boss, book the monthly ticket of friend 201901102135244468. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2263. Lu Ligan took Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin out, and the room suddenly became quiet. When it became quiet, Tan Shahen and Qian sat there, not knowing what to say for a while. Qian didn't go out all morning and stayed at home. Tan Shahen looked at her and seemed to have no intention of going out in the afternoon. Tan Shahen understood why she didn't want to go out. Tan Shahen thought for a moment and said to Qian, let's go for a walk too. Qian hesitated and said, the sun is still so bright outside. Tan Shahen smiled, looked at Qian and asked, are you afraid of going out or walking with me? Qian's face suddenly turned red. She looked at Tan Shahen, looked away quickly, and said in a panic. No, Sister Shahen, what do I have to be afraid of? Me, why should I be afraid of being with you? It's okay if you don't. Tan Shahen sat close, reached out and held Qian's hand, and said to her. Last time you and Wenwen went to Hangzhou, I told you that we are both adults. We can't explain the past, and there is no need to talk about it. Let it pass. From now on, you are Wenkin's mother. I am her eldest mother, and I will still bring her back here often. Next time I come, I will not drive. I will take her and we will take the high-speed rail to Chenzhou. Can you pick us up in Chenzhou? Qian nodded and said yes. Let's go. If others want to see it, let them have a good look. If they want to say anything, let them say it. We can't cover other people's eyes, and we can't block other people's mouths. We just don't care. Every day I lived it myself. Tan Shahen said, I have visited the Xiananjiang hydropower station before, but I still can't figure out how the electricity is generated. Please take me to see it. Qian said yes. She also stood up, and the two of them walked out and walked to the door below. Tan Shahen stretched out her hand, Qian held her hand, and the two of them walked outside together. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen stayed at the Hongling Reservoir for 4 days. During these 4 days, Lu Wenqin took Zhang Xiangzi to the mountains to feed chickens, to the vegetable fields to watch people harvest vegetables, and to watch the pigs in the pig pens. She and her brother went fishing in the reservoir, but when going fishing, even Zhang Xiangzi also wore a life jacket and high-top rain boots. The water in the cabin was up to the top of their feet, and the fish they caught were put in the cabin and were jumping around at their feet. Both of them screamed with excitement. The boat docked at the fish raft, and the brother would use a dip net to fish the fish in the cabin into different cages according to different species, and then use a spoon to scoop out the water in the cabin. Every evening, Zhang Xiangzi would take Lu Wenqin to the swimming pool to swim. After 4 days of learning, Lu Wenqin was already able to dog paddle and fluttered in the water. She could jump 6 to 7 meters. The first time she choked on the water, she burst into tears. At one point, Zhang Xiangzi told her that there was nothing special about being choked by water. Everyone who learns to swim will be choked by water and is not allowed to cry. The next day, she choked again. With tears in her eyes, Lu Wenqin looked at Zhang Xiangzi. Zhang Xiangzi said, "Don't cry," but Lu Wenqin didn't cry. She choked again on the 3rd day. She stood up in the water and started laughing. Zhang Xiangzi praised her and said, "I tell you, Lu Wenqin, you have made great progress and you will learn to swim soon." Lu Wenqin nodded desperately. In the past few days, Qian took Tan Shahen to visit almost every corner of the Hongling Reservoir. Everyone in the Hongling Reservoir got to know Tan Shahen and Zhang Xiangzi. Mango Terrace held water sports activities here for 2 days. People who came to compete and join in the fun, including the surrounding villagers, made the Hongling Reservoir lively, like a festival. The Mango Terrace is gone, and the place is a little quieter. Tan Shahen and Lu Ligan are also going back to Hangzhou. For a few days, Lu Wenqin and Zhang Xiangzi were together every day. Now that she heard that she was going to Hangzhou with her sister, Lu Wenqin was very happy. On the other hand, if she was not allowed to leave now, she would cry loudly and want to go to Hangzhou with her sister and father. Go with Big Mom and the others. Qian packed 2 bags of Lu Wenqian's things and sent them down to the parking lot. Lu Wenqian hugged Qian and said goodbye to her mother. They got into the car and the car started to slowly start. Lu Ligan pressed down the window. Lu Wenqian said goodbye to her mother again to Qian outside the car, with a smile on her face and no trace of sadness at all. Qian stood there, watching their car drive away. She turned around and felt that the sky was getting cloudy. She walked to the escalator to the top of the dam. Instead of taking the escalator, she wanted to walk up. After walking 4 or 5 steps, Qian felt weak and empty, so she sat down on the steps. She didn't know what was wrong with her. The last time they were separated in Hangzhou, Lu Wenqian burst into tears, which made Qian heartbroken. In the end, she couldn't help but take her back. Today, Lu Wenqian didn't feel uncomfortable at all. Happy, I should be happy, why not only can't I be happy, but my heart still hurts? As Qian sat there, she heard people talking and laughing on the escalator next door. It was quiet here. Gone, really gone. Qian thought that from today on, she would really be alone here. In this ravine, although there were people coming and going, these people had nothing to do with her at all. She would not even remember a smiling face. For them, too. A gust of wind blew over, making the leaves, flowers, and grass above and beside her rustle. When the wind passed, these sounds also disappeared. Qian even doubted whether this sound really existed in this world. Just now, could it be his auditory hallucination? Tears flowed down Qin's cheeks. Qian wanted to stand up and continue walking up. After trying, she felt that she didn't even have the strength to stand up and could only continue to sit. At around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Lu Ligan and Tan Shuhen arrived in Hangzhou. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian were sitting in the back row. Both of them fell asleep. Along the way, the two of them went crazy and passed almost every service area. They asked to go in. After entering, they bought food and toys. Lu Ligan took them with him. Whatever they wanted, he would satisfy them. When the 3 of them came back, Tan Shuhen scolded, "What did they buy again? How can the quality of the things sold in this place be good? They are all wholesale from Yuwu." Lu Ligan chuckled. As a child, he just puts it on when it gets hot and throws it away for fun. It doesn't matter. Tan Shuhen stopped talking. She didn't want Lu Ligan to be a good person in front of Lu Wenqian and she to be the bad person. Tan Shuhen shook Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian awake and told them they were home and getting off the car. The 2 people opened their eyes and got out of the car. Standing under the car, Lu Wenqian looked around blankly. Then she suddenly realized that she had arrived in Hangzhou and was not at the Hongling Reservoir. Lu Wenqian let out a loud wow. When she started crying, Lu Ligan and Tan Shuhen were a little confused. They didn't know why she was crying. Tan Shuhen quickly asked, Wenqian, what's wrong with you?" Mom, I want Mom," Lu Wenqian cried loudly. Tan Shuhen quickly picked up Lu Wenqian and said to her, "Wenqian, Mother is still at Hongling Reservoir. We have arrived in Hangzhou. After a while, I will take you back to see Mother, okay?" Lu Wenqian shook her head and shouted, No, I want my mother now." "Wenqian, look, my eldest mother is here, my father is here, and my sister is also here," Tan Shuhen said. Zhang Xiangzi took Lu Wenqian's hand and said to her, "Lu Wenqian, don't cry. My sister will watch The Other Side of the Realm with you later. My sister has downloaded it all. Let's watch it from the beginning, okay?" Lu Wenqian stopped crying. "My sister will take you to her sister's kindergarten tomorrow. Next year, Lu Wenqian, you will also go to her sister's kindergarten. Can we go and see it tomorrow?" Zhang Xiangzi continued. Lu Wenqian still had tears in her eyes, but she nodded. Zhang Xiangzi gave Lu Wenqin a tissue and said to her, "Wipe your tears and don't cry anymore. My sister often can't see her mother. She doesn't even cry. Adults have their own business. Children can't do anything without seeing their mothers cry. Sister, can you stay with me?" Lu Wenqin nodded. "Then why don't you wipe your tears?" Zhang Xiangzi said. Lu Wenqin wiped away her tears. "It hasn't been wiped clean yet, let me wipe it for you," Zhang Xiangzi said, picking up a tissue and wiping the tears from the corners of Lu Wenqin's eyes. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen looked at each other, and they both laughed. Lu Ligan said, "Zixi is still great, even Big Mom is useless." "Go," Tan Shahen cursed. 4 people went up. Lu Lizan was carrying Lu Wenqin's 2 bags on his shoulders and pushing their own suitcases in his hands. Pushing open the door on Zhang Chen's side, the 2 old ladies inside shouted when they saw them coming back and hurried over to greet them. As soon as Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin entered the house, Zhang Xiangzi called his grandma and grandma, and Lu Wenqin followed suit. Then, the 2 of them immediately ran upstairs. They wanted to go to the computer in the room to watch The Other Side of the Realm. That silly heroine. Lu Ligan took Lu Wenqin's 2 bags and followed him. Originally, Tan Shahen arranged a room for Lu Wenqin in her own place and planned to hire a nanny to take care of Lu Wenqin. Lu Ligan reminded her, "You'd better ask the 2 old ladies next door to get their consent first." Tan Shahen said, "Lu Wenqin is also my daughter. Why should I ask them how to arrange it?" Lu Ligan said, "How many days have you taken care of your own daughter? Do you have the right to decide?" Tan Shahen laughed when she heard that. Yes, Xiang Nan, her own daughter, was raised by Zhang Chen's mother and the others. She didn't even know what Xiang Nan's favorite dish was. Tan Shahen told Zhang Chen's mother, Xiaofang's mother, about her arrangements. As expected, Zhang Chen's mother's face dropped and she said to Tan Shahen, "Zhen, what do you mean? Do you think we didn't take Xiangnan well, or do you think we are too old?" Tan Shahen panicked and quickly said no. "Aren't you going to hire a nanny? We can't even take care of a child. Zixi will go to elementary school next year, and we have a lot of time. Besides, when Nanan and Bai were young, the 2 of us took care of them together." "Are you older?" Zhang Chen's mother said. Xiaofang's mother also said, "Wenqin and Zixi are together, and they have a companion." Tan Shahen smiled and apologized, saying, "I'm afraid you 2 are working too hard." "Why bother? You don't have to worry about this," Zhang Chen's mother said. At the end, she added, "You can't control it either." Tan Shahen said quickly, "Okay, Auntie, I don't dare to take care of it anymore. If I do, I will be scolded to death by you." Both old ladies laughed. The house over at Splendid Home is currently being renovated. After moving there, Zhang Chen and Xiaofang are on the top floor. There are 2 houses on the first floor of the same building. On one side are Xiaofang's parents and on the other side is Zhang Chen. "My parents," the backyards of the 2 houses were connected together and turned into one big yard. After moving there, there were plenty of rooms. Zhang Chen's mother said that when they get there, Wenqin and Zixi can have a room alone. Don't worry about the transition period of these few months, just let Wenqin and Zixi sleep together. Thank you to Book Friends 2018052311285765, Tishan, On the Road 2006, and Shi Yitan for their monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2264. Zhang Xiangbei stayed in Yongcheng for 2 days and then rushed back to Hangzhou. Zhang Chen called him and said that the renderings in Hainan had been designed and asked him to go back and take a look. So fast? It seems that my father hasn't slept much these days, Zhang Xiangbei thought. Zhang Xiangbei drove directly to the half-acre field building, walked into Zhang Chen's office, and found that Lao Tan was also here, and there was another person Zhang Xiangbei didn't recognize. He was in his 30s, looked a lot like Sun Honglei, and even had a hairstyle. It's very similar to the movements, and it seems that he himself is working hard to resemble it. After the introduction, I learned that this was Fang Tiancheng, a designer from Lao Tan's splendid China Design Institute. The design of this project was left to Fang Tiancheng and his friends. Splendid China has a cooperative construction company in Hainan, and the construction part is handed over to them. They are also familiar with Bao Tianbin. On the conference table in the office, the renderings designed by Zhang Chen were spread out. When Zhang Xiangbei walked in, the three of them were discussing around the design. When Lao Tan saw Zhang Xiangbei coming in, he shouted, "Bai Bei, come here quickly and take a look at your pasture." Zhang Xiangbei walked over and fell in love with it at first sight. The one on top is a rendering of a cowshed. There are two long cows' heads. The side near the stream is in the air, supported by wooden piles below. The upper part of this part is a wooden building, and the part closer to the inside is. That is to say, 2/3 of the walls of the cowshed look like earth. The top of the cowshed is not a tile or a cement cast-in-place roof, but a thatched roof. There are long thatch hanging down around the arched thatched roof. The whole shape looks like the bottom of an upside-down ship, and it also looks like a thatched house building in tropical Africa. This is a boathouse. The boathouse is like a boat turned upside down. The boathouse is a traditional architectural form of the Li people. Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei were also talking to Lao Tan and Fang Tiancheng. Foreign cows' heads generally prefer wooden houses, which are tall and spacious. Wooden houses have good thermal insulation effect. They are tall and spacious because cows' heads need ventilation and air circulation so that pests and diseases are less likely to breed. The buildings of the Li people, also called stilled houses, are generally divided into two floors. The upper floor is for people, and the lower floor is used to raise livestock. The roof is covered with grass woven from bay or sunflower leaves, which is waterproof, moisture-proof and heat insulating. All are very good. The walls are made of fence-like rafts made of wood, and then mud and grass tendons are put on the outside. The insulation effect is also very good. The disadvantages of stilt-style buildings are that the houses are relatively low and the ventilation conditions are not good enough. In addition, there are almost no windows and the indoor light is very poor. It is not that the Li people like dark rooms, but they are affected by their material conditions and construction level at the time due to the limitations. There is no way to deal with windows on such a wall. Their entire houseboat is made of thatch, wooden sticks, moso bamboo, mud and rattan. The entire house has no metal components and no mortise and tenon design. It is mainly made of red vines and white vines to form various shelves. Where there are mortise and tenon joints, they are tied with rattan. On the roof, horizontal moso bamboo is used to fix the thatch pieces. The reason why we do this is still restricted by objective conditions. The conditions we have now are different from those at that time. Of course, there is no need to stick to the old ways and stick to the same set of building methods. The overall structure of the house still looks like the boathouse style of the Li people. But architecturally, I think it's better to combine it with our southern residential buildings. Fang Tiancheng nodded. He saw it and asked, "Mr. Zhang, are you going to use a beam structure, but use thatched roof instead of tiles?" "Yes," Zhang Chen said, "use a beam frame structure. First lay a layer of waterproof membrane on the top, then cover the membrane with grass pieces woven from sunflower leaves, and then fix it with thin steel wires." Although Kayangshong is from Hainan Island, in the central mountainous area, we still have to take into account the factors of typhoons every year. Zhang Chen pointed at the house on the paper and said to Fang Tiancheng, The weather in Hainan is hot, so we don't have to think about cold protection. What we have to consider is insulation and ventilation. If we use the Li people's method of building walls, the wall will not be strong, nor will it be able to bear the load, and it will not be able to erect the entire beam frame. It won't hurt either, Lao Tan said. If two cows fight, they might both break through the wall. Yes, brother is right, Zhang Chen said with a smile. So for the wall, I am considering using the rammed earth wall that was common in rural areas in our area. There is no problem with the rammed earth wall being 4 or 5 meters high, and the wall is enough. It is strong, has no problem with load bearing, and has no problem with opening windows. At the same time, rammed earth walls are also the walls with the best thermal insulation effect. Fang Tiancheng pointed to the 2/3 of the cow sheet and asked, "Are these all made of rammed earth walls?" "Yes, this part will be made of rammed earth walls, and the other third, because it is in the air, cannot be made into rammed earth walls, so it will be made into wooden walls." Zhang Chen pointed to the pillars that Zhang Xiangbei thought were wooden piles and said to Fang Tiancheng, "This is not made of wood, but of steel pipes, with the effect of imitating wood. The ground of this part is cast in place. The ground of the entire cow sheet is slightly tilted towards the side. On the ground here, installation along iron fence is treated like the floor in the back kitchen of a hotel. The cow sheet needs to be cleaned every day, and the flushing water leaks from this iron fence to the bottom. This will make it easier to clean the cow sheet. There is so much oil fume in the back kitchen of the hotel every day. After closing, flush it with a water pipe and rinse it away. I said that the weather in Hainan is hot, so don't worry about insulation. The cow sheet is just there is no need to lay straw or anything else, the cattle can just lie down directly on the clean ground." Zhang Chen said. Zhang Xiangbei couldn't help but nodded. He felt that indeed, if it were in Hainan, there was really no need to spread sawdust on the ground like Lao Qiao and his family did at home. On the contrary, just because of the hot weather, the cow sheet cleanliness has become more important. If the floor is cleaned, the entire cow sheet will not have that suffocating and unpleasant smell. In this case, even if it's not time to clean, if a cow urinates, it will leak from here because of the slope of the ground, Fang Tiancheng asked. Zhang Chen nodded. Build a water tank under the house and introduce the stream water all the way to the septic tank. In this way, water will flow in the water tank all day long and dirt will not accumulate in the water tank, Zhang Chen said. Is this an open ditch, not an underground ditch? Fang Tiancheng asked. It's an open ditch. In places where the weather is hot, you can't make culverts. If you do it, it will become a paradise for rats, and it will be inconvenient to clean, Zhang Chen said, and Fang Tiancheng nodded. People over there in Hainan don't know how to make rammed earth walls, right? Fang Tiancheng asked. Zhang Chen laughed and said, it's not just them, there are many people here like us who know how to make rammed earth walls. Now we probably can't even find coffin-like molds for making rammed earth walls. But there must be someone out there who knows how to do it. Zhang Chen thought for a while and said to Zhang Xiangbei, call Xiao Wu over. He happened to be at Zhao Jingjing's place today for something, and he also came to my place before. Zhang Xiangbei picked up his cell phone and called Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu is now responsible for the management of the two logistics bases in Yongcheng and Hangcheng. When he received Zhang Xiangbei's call, he said yes, I will come right away. Zhang Chen put this rendering aside. The next one is the rendering of the visitor center. The visitor center is a row of circular buildings, a total of 4 buildings with 2 floors, and the middle is empty, like 4 periods. The top circle is also covered with thatch, and the thatch hangs down from the eaves. Tulu, Zhang Xiangbei couldn't help shouting. He saw that the appearance of these houses was very similar to the Tulu in Fujian. The only difference was that the roofs of the Tulu were tiles, instead of thatch. Zhang Chen looked at him and said yes, it was an earth building. Zhang Chen turned around and asked Fang Tiancheng, have you been to the Tulu in Fujian? Fang Tianchen nodded. Zhang Chen said, this is based on the design of earth buildings. The surrounding walls are also rammed earth walls. Like earth buildings are also rammed earth walls. The inner side of the courtyard is made of wood. There are 3 buildings, and in the middle of these 3 buildings is a garden. The outermost building is the main building of the visitor center, and the middle part is the dome restaurant. Why should the garden be built in the courtyard of the earth building? Zhang Chen asked and answered himself, it's very simple. Just close your eyes and think about it. This is thousands of acres of green grassland that you can't see at a glance. The grassland is here. The protagonist should not take over the main role. The rammed earth wall and thatched roof not only have good heat insulation effect, but also match well with the grass and will not destroy the overall effect. But the garden will. If the garden is placed outside, it will destroy the momentum, but it cannot be without the garden. Without the garden, it will be too monotonous, so the garden must be placed inside so that it cannot be seen from the outside. When Zhang Chen was talking, Zhang Xiangbei and Fang Tiancheng really closed their eyes, and they kept nodding. This group of earth buildings are connected by thatched corridors. Zhang Xiangbei felt as if he was in Where Have I Seen It Before? He closed his eyes and thought. Suddenly it occurred to him. Zhang Xiangbei opened his eyes and asked. Is there a hot spring here? Zhang Chen thought for a moment and said, this requires exploration. However, no matter where we dig in Hainan, it should not be difficult to find hot springs. If there are hot springs, can this be turned into a hot spring hotel? An open-air hot spring pool in these gardens, Zhang Xiangbei asked. Zhang Chen and Fang Tiancheng looked at each other. They both thought Zhang Xiangbei's suggestion was good. Zhang Chen pointed at the renderings and said. If you want to make an open-air hot spring, it's not enough to do it in the garden. It's too monotonous. You can also do it here. Just by the stream, using the stones by the stream, you can make a pool casually, and do it on top of the pool. A pavilion with a thatched roof and ventilation on all sides leads the corridor here. When Zhang Xiangbei heard what Zhang Chen said, he seemed to have seen the scene before his eyes and couldn't help but laugh. Xiao Wu walked in and asked what happened. Zhang Chen told him what had happened, pointed to the renderings and asked him, is there anyone in your village who knows how to build the kind of earthen wall that was used in the countryside? People around my father's age can do it. Young people just can't do it. They can learn it in just 2 days. What's so difficult about it? Tamping a wall is similar to making coal cakes. You pour the mud into the mold and use a wooden hammer. In this way, hammer down and hammer down. Once the hammer is strong, remove the mold and proceed to the next section. In the past, everyone built houses with mud walls, and there was no construction team. During the off-season, we would ask people from the team to come over and help. You help me this time, and I will help you next time. A house is built, as long as you can afford the timber and tiles for the beams, you can have at most 3 meals, one to start the work, one to put the beams on, and one to finish the building. You didn't even care about the food, Zhang Xiangbei asked curiously. I don't care, I can't take care of it. If I do, it will take away the money you spent to build the house. Everyone will go back to eat, at most in the afternoon, to make some snacks, Xiao Wu said. No need for reinforced concrete, Zhang Xiangbei asked. No, many people have built their houses, but their homes still have mud floors. Or after the houses are built, they have some money to buy some sand and cement and pour some ground. No one has the ability to pour the ground of the entire house at once. Come down, people will live in the mud as well, Xiao Wu said. I'll go, it's really simple, Zhang Xiangbei shouted. It's not surprising. The exchange of physical strength is also a kind of exchange, Zhang Chen said. That's it? At that time, when doing big things, it was all about helping. You helped me, I helped you, it was actually a return of favor, Xiao Wu said. Xiao Wu, please call and ask if your village can organize a team to go to Hainan to make money by ramming mud walls, Zhang Chen and Xiao Wu said. Xiao Wu said yes and walked away while making a phone call. Several people here continued to look at the renderings. The next picture is of offices, research institutes, slaughtering workshops, maturation workshops and dormitories, which is where the tea factory is now. This group of buildings is no longer earth walls and turf roofs, but has a group of modern and simple buildings, but each building has one characteristic, that is, it is built against the mountain and is integrated with the mountain, as if growing out of the mountain. Each building also has a characteristic, that is, it has a large slope with green grass and many functional spaces hidden under the slope. Because of these large slopes, these buildings look like it's hidden in the mountains, hidden in the pasture. But looking out from inside the building, it must be very eye-catching. At the same time, the space structure inside can be very practical and comfortable. Xiao Wu came back after making the phone call and said to Zhang Chen, "No problem." "Do you still have the tools?" Zhang Chen asked. "Just do it, it's very simple," Xiao Wu said. Zhang Chen nodded and said to Lao Tan, "Then let Xiao Wu and the people from the village go over and do it." Lao Tan said yes. Zhang Chen then asked Zhang Xiangbei, "Are you free these 2 days? The drama festival starts next week. Your Japanese friend will arrive on Tuesday, right?" Zhang Xiangbei said yes, there is still time in these few days. Tomorrow we will go to Hainan together to see the scene. If you have any other requests, please go to the scene to mention them. We will go tomorrow and come back the day after tomorrow, Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei said. Zhang Xiangbei said yes. Zhang Chen then said to Fang Tiancheng, "Take the renderings with you and take a closer look first. If you have any questions or doubts, you can ask them at the site tomorrow." Fang Tiancheng said yes, we will go with 3 people. "Mr. Zhang, you will come back the day after tomorrow and we will continue to stay there. By the way, are the people from the exploration team already there?" "Already here. If you have any requirements, just call Lao Bao." "Do you have Lao Bao's phone number?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. Yes, I have Lao Bao's phone number. I will contact him," Fang Tiancheng said. "Thank you to Xiao Sheng, who is only 48 years old and has 2 fishes for the reward. Thank you Musicking, Bolan K, Xiao Shen Nian Fang 48, Tishan, Zhang Ni is mine, Lao Shen Zisang, Muzi I Shi Xi and Ren Wei, the villain among villains, Captain Jim, Purple Hay, Book Friends 854*009, Zixi Zi, Zongkai 727, Zhao 1017, Dragon, Dong Longdong, Huandian Electrical and Mechanical, Makino Fenga, ZDLM001, Beicheng Distribution, you know whether a book is good or not, Sand Dust Mood, Kuzio Kyokiu, Light, Tishan, Book Monthly Ticket of Friend 202011091113511923. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2265. On the day Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei went to Hainan, Lu Ligan and Tan Shehen returned from Ningyuan with Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian. With Zhang Xiangzi as her sister, she is now on summer vacation, and the 2 of them are together every day. Lu Wenqian quickly adapted to life in Hangzhou. There are so many new things that she would never have known or imagined in Hongling Reservoir. Things were now displayed in front of her eyes, making her overwhelmed. Lu Ligan took the 2 of them to watch a movie. While watching the movie, he also bought popcorn and ice cream. Lu Wenqian thought the popcorn and ice cream were so delicious. Lu Wenqian had never eaten popcorn before. The ice cream here, it's placed in a bucket. Whatever flavor you want, the sister inside will scrape a ball out of the bucket with a ball scooper and put it on the pointed egg roll. The first time she chose, Lu Wenqin blushed and didn't know what flavor to choose. She looked at her sister inside with a confused look on her face, but Zhang Xiangzi said to her, "You choose the strawberry flavor and I choose the chocolate flavor, so that we can, if you want to eat it instead, you can eat it with milk, but the matcha, vanilla and taro ones are not delicious at all." Lu Wenqin nodded repeatedly, and the sister inside smiled and said, "I will give you strawberries." The sister inside was very nice. After giving each of them a ball, she added half a ball and stacked it on top. Lu Wenqin thinks this ice cream is much more delicious than the three-color ice cream in a plastic box at the small shop in Hongling Reservoir. After watching the movie, Lu Ligan took them to eat KFC. Lu Wenqin liked KFC very much, but there was no KFC in Hongling Reservoir. She could only eat it when she went to Changsha with Wenwen, or when Qian took her to Ningyuan County. Lu Wenqin ate a lot, and Lu Ligan told her that when you want to eat in the future, just tell your father and he will bring you to eat. It's okay to tell your sister. There is a KFC near Meisi River. All the brothers and sisters there know me. My sister will take you to eat. Zhang Xiangzi said. Lu Ligan smiled and said, "Yes, my sister can do it too." Lu Wenqin came, and Lu Ligan handed over the company's affairs to Xiaomi. He spent a lot of time with Lu Wenqin and Zhang Xiangzi. He felt that the days of carrying Lu Wenqin with a backpack on his chest like a kangaroo were back. It was different. It's just that it's not in Hongling Reservoir, but in Hangzhou. Lu Ligan took them to the wildlife park, horse riding at the Sky City Mountain Horse Farm, and the Lego Mall in the center of Hangzhou, where they bought a lot of Lego toys. When they were at home, Lu Wenqin and Zhang Xiangzi felt busy. Damn, there are so many things to build. Lu Wenqin was so busy that she didn't miss home that much. She missed her two mothers, Wenwen and Qian. What makes Lu Wenqin most happy is that Zhang Xiangzi returned to Hangzhou and was not so self-disciplined when he returned home. Sometimes, after he had already said goodnight and the two of them were lying there, Zhang Xiangzi would ask, "Lu Wenqin, do you still want to see it? Cartoon?" Lu Wenqin nodded and said. Zhang Xiangzi got up, took the iPad and went back to bed. She told Lu Wenqin, "Can we only watch one episode?" Lu Wenqin said yes, and the result was that the two of them watched one episode after another, and saw that both of them fell asleep, and the iPad continued to play until it automatically shut down when it ran out of power. The most exaggerated and exciting thing is that very late in the evening, Zhang Xiangzi would ask, "Lu Wenqin, do you want to drink milk tea?" Of course Lu Wenqin thought about it. Zhang Xiangzi took out her mobile phone and ordered milk tea. She already knew how to type a lot. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqin said that they learned it online. If you want to search for anime, you need to be able to type. But if I ask her to write, Zhang Xiangzi said, "I can't even write half of the words. I use pinyin. Those words are arranged in a row. I know them all and know which one to choose." Mom said, "I know them, they are. If you don't know me, do you think these words are bad?" Lu Wenqin nodded and giggled. After Zhang Xiangzi orders milk tea, he will note, "Don't ring the doorbell. Call me at the door." After the order was sent, Zhang Xiangzi muted the ringtone of his mobile phone. The two of them suddenly became nervous, staring at the mobile phone and listening with their ears perked up. Seeing the screen flashing, Zhang Xiangzi quickly picked it up. Even though the door was closed and her voice could not be heard outside, Zhang Xiangzi still lowered his voice and said to the other party, "Thank you, just wait, we'll be down soon." The two of them opened the door a crack first. By this time, their grandparents and grandparents had gone to bed, and Xiaofang hadn't come back yet. Seeing that there was no one outside, they tiptoed downstairs, opened the door quietly, got some milk tea, and went back to hide. Entering the room, the two couldn't help laughing. After drinking the milk tea, Zhang Xiangzi wanted to put the milk tea cup in his school bag together with the paper bag outside, take it out quietly the next day, and throw it away quietly. He could not leave it in the room, otherwise his grandma and grandma would find it. Once, two people had just returned to the room after taking milk tea when they heard a noise below. Xiaofang came back. The two of them were very impressive. Zhang Xiangzi shouted. "Turn off the lights, turn off the lights." Lu Wenqian quickly turned off the bedside light, and the two of them got into the air-conditioned quilt. Zhang Xiangzi had milk tea in his hand, and there was no place to hide it. In desperation, he hid the milk tea in the quilt, and Lu Wenqian also hid the milk tea in the quilt. The two of them pretended to be asleep, with their hearts pounding. The door was pushed open. Xiaofang reached out and turned on the light. She walked over to the bed and saw that both of them were fast asleep, covered with quilts. "Yes," Xiaofang smiled, sniffed and muttered, "What does it smell like?" Xiaofang looked around and saw nothing, so she walked out. After the door closed and they heard Xiaofang going upstairs, Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian let out a long breath and then sat up from the bed. Lu Wenqian said, "Sister, please touch me, my hands are all sweaty." Zhang Xiangzi smiled and said, "Me too." "Sister, my butt is also covered in sweat and is already wet," Lu Wenqian continued. Zhang Xiangzi felt strange. Why is this butt sweating? She stretched out her hand and touched it, and it was true. Then she felt that her butt was also wet. Zhang Xiangzi was startled and shouted, "Hurry up and turn on the light." Lu Wenqian quickly turned on the bedside lamp, and Zhang Xiangzi lifted the quilt. Only then did she realize that her cup of milk tea was already lying across the bed. When she heard some movement below, she had just inserted the straw into the cup, and half of the milk tea inside was spilled. Fortunately, Lu Wenqian didn't even have time to insert the straw into the cup and didn't spill it. The two of them wiped and sucked with paper towels. After working for a long time, they finally wiped off the milk tea on the sheets and quilt, but those areas were still wet. There was no other way. The two of them could only sleep together and wipe that area. Vacant. The next day, the two of them got up very early. After checking the quilt and then the sheets, they found that the sheets and quilt were dry, but there was no way to remove the water stains on them. Zhang Xiangzi thought for a moment, folded the quilt, and then put the quilt away. "Put it on the water-stained area on the sheets," Zhang Xiangzi said. "Lu Wenqian, can't you see it?" Lu Wenqian nodded and said, "I can't tell at all." Grandma was stunned when she came in. She saw Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian had already gotten up, sitting on the ground building blocks. For the first time, they folded the quilts and placed them in the middle of the bed. Grandma walked towards the bed. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian nervous, with his heart in his throat. Zhang Xiangzi shouted, "Grandmother! What's the matter?" Grandma stopped and asked. "Put my hair into braids," Zhang Xiangzi said. "I want it to," Lu Wenqian shouted. Grandma said, "Yes, she will comb your hair after breakfast. Go wash your face and brush your teeth quickly, then go down to have breakfast." Grandma said that she had already walked to the bed and wanted to put the quilt away. Zhang Xiangzi and Lu Wenqian's faces turned pale with fright, and they kept lamenting in their hearts, "It's over, it's over." Grandma picked up the quilt and was stunned for a moment. She saw the water stain and immediately understood. She thought it must be that Lu Wenqian's biological clock was disrupted not long after she came here and she wet the bed. Bedwetting is not a good thing for children. I will definitely feel embarrassed. Grandma didn't say anything at the moment, pretending not to see it. She opened the quilt and found a water stain on the quilt. After a closer look, it didn't look like a urine stain. She grabbed a handful with her hand and found it was hard. It was still a little sticky, so Grandma couldn't help but put it in front of her nose and smell it. She didn't smell urine, but smelled of milk. Grandma turned around and asked, "Zixi, did you bring the milk to bed to drink again?" Zixi nodded quickly. "Remember, next time you are not allowed to bring milk to bed to drink." You have to drink it before going to bed. Do you understand? I know, Grandma. Zhang Xiangzi secretly breathed a sigh of relief and replied cheerfully. Grandma picked up the quilt, pulled off the sheets, and said to them, "Go wash your face and brush your teeth quickly." The two people hurried to the bathroom. Grandma went out holding the quilt and sheets. The two people looked at each other in the bathroom and laughed. Zhang Chen's mother and Xiaofang's mother, two old ladies, liked Lu Wenqin very much, especially knowing that she was not Lu Ligan's daughter, but was thrown at the door of the supermarket by her biological parents and was picked up by them. My wife felt even more distressed. Zhang Chen's mother kept shouting. Segu, Segu, poor, pitiful, how can there be such cruel parents? How could they be willing to throw away their biological daughter, even if they have to raise her for food? Xiaofang's mother also said, "That's right." Zhang Xiangzi was sitting on the sofa with his arms and legs spread out. Lu Wenqin was tired from playing and fell asleep on the single sofa. Zhang Chen's mother walked over and said to Zhang Xiangzi, "Zixi, my sister is here. You are the sister, so you should know how to let her eat and have fun. Don't fight with her, do you understand?" Zhang Xiangzi looked at his grandma, blinked his eyes and asked, "Are you going to give in to her like Bai Bei gave in to me?" Grandma and Grandma both laughed and said, "Yes, we Zixi are smart and we know it as soon as it is said." Zhang Xiangzi frowned, spread his hands and said, "But, Grandma, I can't do it." "Why, Zixi?" Grandma asked. "I haven't even gone to elementary school yet, and I'm not as strong as Bai Bei." "I can't let Lu Wenqin ride on my shoulders," Zhang Xiangzi said. Grandma and Grandma laughed, and Grandma said, "Wen Qian doesn't need to ride on your shoulders, as long as you know how to treat her well. She is my sister, and I will definitely be good to her." Zhang Xiangzi laughed as she spoke. She smiled exaggeratedly and bumped her back against the sofa. She said, "I have a solution." Grandma was confused by her and asked, "What can you do?" "I gave Bai Bei to Lu Wenqin and let Lu Wenqin ride on Bai Bei's shoulders," Zhang Xiangzi said. The two old ladies were overjoyed. When Xiaofang came back, the two old ladies told Xiaofang what Zhang Xiangzi said. Xiaofang was also very happy after hearing this. She felt that Lu Wenqin's arrival could make Zhang Xiangzi increase his sense of responsibility, so as to avoid the whole family's troubles. All the love and affection was given to Zhang Xiangzi, which made her arrogant. "Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you Captain Jim, Huaxin Yongxiao, Traveler Ye Buzan, LCS 0001, Yunlong Frogfish, Mao Xiong is not a bear, Zliang, Daos Hung 123, Zhao 1017, Zixi Zi, Dachuan, Happy Lu Hong, Fire Phoenix Magic Mirror, In on the Road, Every Day, Forgot Password and Start Again, Flowers from the Other Side, Sakura Eternal, and How Can I Don't Want It, Books Are a Pack of Medicine, Guzayo Kyokyu, Fangziologo, Book Friends 2020091116010975, Book Friends 1604031635313292, 201703031958399050 Monthly Pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2266. At noon, Zhang Chen and his group of 5 arrived in Haikan. Bao Tianben drove a van to pick them up. When he saw Fang Tiancheng, Lao Bao did not call Fang Tiancheng Xiaofang or Mr. Fang, but called him Xiang Shan. Fang Tiancheng was happy. The ground responded. When Zhang Xiangbei heard it, he felt that the name was familiar. After thinking about it for a while, he couldn't help but laugh. Xiangshan, Li Xiangshan, is not the character played by Sun Honglei in If You Are the One Too, the boss who is suffering from melanoma and entrusts Jin Fen, played by Geu, to come to Hainan to help him hold a farewell party and help him commit suicide by jumping into the sea. Fang Tiancheng not only looks like Sun Honglei and has the same hairstyle, but also likes to point a finger when talking and never straightens his arms. When Zhang Xiangbei saw him yesterday, he felt that even the tattoo on his chin, the wisps of beard, also look familiar. Now that I think about it, doesn't that Li Xiangshan look like this? Fang Tiancheng must have liked this character very much, imitating his words and deeds. Looking in the mirror, he probably didn't know how many times he called himself Xiangshan. Bao Tianbin asked Zhang Chen if he went to the city to have dinner before going to Kayangshong. Zhang Chen said no, we have to rush back tomorrow and time is very tight. We will go directly to Kayangshong and stay in Kayangshong at night. Let's just eat on the roadside for lunch, Zhang Chen asked everyone. Several people said they had eaten on the plane and were not hungry. Then we'll talk about it when we get to Kayangshong, Zhang Chen said. Bao Tianbin said yes. The car got off the expressway. On the roadside at the entrance to the expressway, a row of simple houses had been set up. Oranges were being sold with a banner of Kayangshong green oranges. Zhang Xiangbei asked Lao Bao to stop the car and said he was buying a few boxes of oranges to put on the car. Drink water. The green oranges in Kayangshong are really delicious. I have never tasted such delicious oranges. Zhang Chen disagreed and said, when it comes to the sky, it is also an orange. How delicious will the orange be? While the two were talking, Bao Tianbin had already moved 3 boxes of oranges to the car. Zhang Xiangbei opened the box. Zhang Chen saw that the oranges inside were still green. Zhang Xiangbei gave him one and called out Xiangshan again. Threw it to Fang Tiancheng in the back row, and Fang Tiancheng caught it. It seemed that he had already conditioned the name Xiangshan. Zhang Chen took the orange, looked left and right, and asked, is this not ripe yet? Does it need to be kept for a few more days? The skin is still green. No, 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 Mr. Zhang. Bao Tianbin had returned to the driver's seat and said to Zhang Chen, the skin of green oranges is green and they are ripe. Zhang Xiangbei was already holding a green orange and rubbing it in his hands. Zhang Chen heard what Bao Tianbin said and started rubbing it too. There were no knives in the car, so everyone peeled them with their fingernails. Unexpectedly, the skin of the orange was very thin and easy to peel. Zhang Chen peeled a hole and saw that the orange flesh inside was red, very bright red, like, the color of the tomatoes makes it look like they are indeed ripe. Zhang Chen put the orange to his mouth and sucked the orange juice. What was unexpected was that it looked like an unripe green orange on the outside. There was a lot of orange juice, and the sweetness of the orange juice was also very high, but it was not cloyingly sweet. Sweet with a hint of sourness, sweet and sour. Zhang Chen nodded. Fang Tiancheng had already shouted, he said it's delicious, Lao Bao, such delicious oranges, why didn't you invite me to eat them when I came here before? What do I owe you? Bao Tianbin scolded, you have to blame yourself as well. You didn't look at the time. It was spring when you came. At that time, there were no green and orange hairs. Okay, you finally made up for the time today, right? Fang Tiancheng said. Bao Tianbin laughed and said no. Why not yet? Fang Tiancheng asked. Bao Tianbin drove the car without looking back. He said, Mr. Zhang, it's good for you to eat these green oranges. The ones sold here are also called Kayangshong green oranges, but in fact, these are not authentic Kayangshong green oranges. The time for Kayangshong green oranges to go on the market has not come yet. These are just green oranges. Early maturing orange varieties are not from Kayangshong. Zhang Xiangbei was surprised and asked, where is that from? The green oranges shipped from places like Wenchang and Dongfang are also genuine, and they are easy to sell with the name Kayangshong green oranges. Bao Tianbin said, the real Kayangshong green oranges will not be available until around the end of October. It's on the market, and it's even more delicious than this. I'll go. Is there such a thing? Zhang Xiangbei said. It's normal. Those who sell sweet potatoes all say they are Kyoto sweet potatoes, and those who sell green oranges say they are Kyeongshong green oranges. Although geographical indication product protection has been implemented, it is of no use. Those who sell Kyeongshong and Chengdu, the e-commerce company in Kyoto, under the name of Kyeongshong green orange and Kyoto sweet potato, brings oranges and sweet potatoes from other places to these places for delivery, but in fact the goods delivered are fakes. Real Kyeongshong green oranges and Kyoto sweet potatoes are both in short supply and are rarely sold online, Bao Tianbin said. Ignore him, as long as it tastes good, Fang Tiancheng said. This is indeed the most delicious orange I have ever tasted. Xiang Shan, as long as you have this mentality, you are worthy of drinking fake Maotai. There are many fake Maotai that are not bad, Bao Tianbin said, and everyone in the car laughed. Zhang Chen said, Fujian Yongxiao makes fake Chinese cigarettes. They make yellow Chinese cigarettes and golden Chinese cigarettes. They create their own fragrances. In the end, even the real Chinese cigarettes have to imitate them. This is amazing, Bao Tianbin said. The same goes for those who sell goods. Even the invoices from Hong Kong shopping malls are prepared and sent to you. They arrived at the project site, which had been laid out. Under the sun, many people were cutting down tea trees on the mountain. The cut trees were piled in piles in the mountain kernel. They were lit with fires and smoked in the sun. Looking at the mountains behind through the green smoke, they seemed to be undulating in the water. Bao Tianbin and Zhang Chen said that the ashes can still be used to fertilize the fields. Zhang Chen nodded. In the place where the tea factory used to be, the houses have begun to be demolished, and the access road has been widened. Next to the stream, a row of simple houses has been erected for the construction workers to live in. The car stopped, and Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei were about to get out of the car. Bao Tianbin said, just stay in the car. The sun is so bright outside and there is no place to sit. The car can be used as an office. He opened the door of the van, and a wave of heat rushed in from the outside. Fortunately, the air conditioner in the van was turned on fully, and it was not unbearable. After the door was opened, you could see the situation outside. The two assistants who came with Fang Tiancheng got out of the car to measure the size. Bao Tianbin gave each of them a straw hat and a bottle of water. Zhang Chen said, we can't see clearly here, so let's get out of the car and walk around. Bao Tianbin said, fine, then I'll turn on the air conditioner. If you can't bear it, just run back. Zhang Chen smiled and said, I'm fine. Don't forget that I also worked on projects in Hainan. Zhang Xiangbei said, I'm fine too. When I'm doing double grabbing, I can still help farmers cut rice. Okay, you are all awesome, but please put on your straw hat, Bao Tianbin said and gave the straw hats to them. The group of people walked to the stream and found a place to stand in the shade of a tree. The wind from the valley came out, carrying a very strong smell of smoke, which made them almost unable to open their eyes. Even though they were standing in the shade of a tree, their sweat was still like water. It flows from the body to the outside. Fang Tiancheng held the renderings designed by Zhang Chen in his hand. He was afraid that holding them would make them wet with sweat. He asked Bao Tianbin to help. The two of them spread out the renderings on the ground, and the four corners are pressed down with small stones. Zhang Chen picked up a branch from the ground, broke off all the twigs on the side, and turned it into a pointer. The four people circled around these renderings. Zhang Chen pointed at the renderings with the stick in his hand. Somewhere, then turned around and pointed to the corresponding place in reality, and explained to them. The other three people also kept asking questions, and Zhang Chen answered them one by one. Fang Tiancheng held a recording pen in his hand. He recorded everything Zhang Chen said so that he could play it back when making design drafts. Mr. Zhang, there may be problems with such a large area covered with grass roofs, Bao Tianbin and Zhang Chen said. What's the problem? Zhang Chen asked. The boat roof of the Li people looks simple, but it is still very difficult to make it watertight. Special craftsmen are required to weave the straw pieces. Not everyone can weave them. They have to be weaved very densely. Also, the top it's not one layer, but several overlapping layers to achieve this effect. Let's put it this way, for a 10 square meter roof, it takes about 200 square meters of grass. Bao Tianben said that Zhang Chen and the three of them all knew how difficult it was. The total roofs of these buildings totaled about more than 6,000 square meters. According to this ratio, that is to say, it would take about 140,000 to 50,000 square meters. The amount of work can be imagined. You mean, it's hard to find such craftsmen now? Zhang Chen asked. Yes, it's hard to find people. After all, there are not many people engaged in this industry now. We have to go to several counties to find people who know this craft. There will always be more than 10 or dozens of people to complete such a large project. Workload, Bao Tianben said. Zhang Xiangbei remembered it and asked, is that okay with the one who knitted straw hats for us last time? Bao Tianben shook his head and said no, you can ask her to weave a mat or a basket or something, but she can't weave a straw roof. This is a specialized craft. Now the Li people's houseboats have become intangible cultural heritage, several counties have built boathouse tourist attractions, and these people are now being recruited to these attractions to work as actors performing for tourists. I'll make some phone calls later. It should be possible to find a way to recruit these people. But in addition to people, there are also materials. These sunflower leaves, red vines and white vines all need to be collected, dried, and pre-processed. When the Li people build a house, they have to prepare the materials for several years and pile them up at home. Now we need so many materials at once. It is definitely too late to collect now, and there is not such a large amount. We still have to see if there is a way to go to Li village to collect. It is best to buy all the fodder and rattan they have at home. Bao Tianben smiled bitterly as he spoke, and said, with such a huge demand, I'm afraid it would be impossible not to implement the three guang policy in Li village. Buy some and organize people to collect some, Zhang Chen asked. This is the only way, but in this case, you must first find an expert who knows how to collect, dry and pre-process, and preferably also where to buy it, Bao Tianben said. Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei both nodded. Bao Tianben found a stone to sit down and started to make phone calls one by one. Zhang Chen, Zhang Xiangbei, and Fang Tiancheng also squatted down beside the renderings and began to discuss many details. 20 minutes later, Bao Tianben came over to Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei and said, I found a man who is a good hand at weaving this kind of thatched roof. It is said that he has many apprentices all over Baoding, Dongfang and Kayangshong counties. I made an appointment to go and talk to him tomorrow. He is in Baoding. Do you want to go take a look and see how this thatched roof is made? Zhang Chen asked Zhang Xiangbei, is it okay to go back one day later? Zhang Xiangbei said yes. Okay, Xiaobeo, let's go together tomorrow, Zhang Chen and Bao Tianben said. Xiang Shan, are you going? Bao Tianben asked Fang Tiancheng, but before Fang Tiancheng answered, Zhang Chen said. It's best to go together. Once you understand how the grass roof is formed, you will know how to combine it with the wall. Fang Tiancheng said yes. Thanks for not taking the tip too seriously. Thank you Zipanjiang 1, Zi Zhang said, Luoluo Wuchen one flower one world, don't take it too seriously, Daos Hung 123, Kinkinkan, I love purple, book friends 201906211331025336, book friends 2017112220420385 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2267. After seeing the project site, Zhang Chen and the others rushed back to Kayangshong Hotel and stayed here at night. The first thing I did when I returned to the hotel was of course to take a shower. In the midsummer afternoon, after spending a few hours outdoors in Hainan, I felt like I had shrunk and shrunk. The sweat that has flowed and dried has formed a layer of shell on the body. It is no longer a liquid, but has become a solid. The body is like a big funnel, and the mouth is constantly filled with bottled water, and the water immediately flows from it. Every part of the body seeped out without leaving a drop. His bare arms were sunburned and turned crimson. After taking a shower, Zhang Chen felt a burning pain in his arms. Changed. Zhang Chen sat down on the sofa in the living room and muttered to himself, thinking that it was the same summer when he was in Haikan, riding a bicycle on the road, looking for work everywhere, and sweating no less than today, no matter how hot it was. Weather, people at that time also had to wear long-sleeved shirts, with one hand stretched out from the wrist down, as if wearing a pair of black gloves. At that time, what I felt most strongly was not the heat, but the anxiety. As long as I could find a job, what if I was exposed to the sun every day? But now, after just a few hours outside, I feel like I can't stand it anymore. Zhang Chen shook his head and murmured, "I'm old, I can't remember how brave I was back then." He laughed to himself. Someone knocked on the door. Zhang Chen went over and opened the door. Outside the door were Bao Tianbin and Zhang Xiangbei. They had just taken a shower. There was only one suite left in the hotel, and of course Zhang Chen lived there. After taking a shower, everyone gathered here and continued to discuss their matters. Bao Tianbin and Zhang Xiangbei walked in. Zhang Xiangbei sat down on the sofa. Bao Tianbin did not sit down, but stood there and said to Zhang Xiangbei, "Going to Lao Tan's place for dinner at night? It's diagonally opposite. You can just walk over later." Zhang Xiangbei said yes. "What do you want to eat?" Bao Tianbin asked. "The fried beef bones, he will arrange the rest." Zhang Xiangbei turned to Zhang Chen and asked, "Do you have any special requests?" Zhang Chen shook his head, "I can do anything." "Then I'll call Lao Tan," Bao Tianbin said, picking up the phone, and Zhang Xiangbei asked him to wait. Zhang Xiangbei said, "You and Lao Tan have made it clear that our project is here. There will be a lot of people coming and going in the future. We have designated his hotel, but no matter who comes, you and Lao Tan will. There is no need for him to treat guests. Even if you bring guests there, don't give any discounts, just make the money you deserve. If he keeps treating guests, we won't dare to go there again." "That's right," Zhang Chen said from the side, "friends are friends, and business is business. Only when he makes money, you will be happy as friends." "Okay, I'll tell Lao Tan what you two said." As he said this, Lao Bao walked out and opened the door. When he saw Fang Tiancheng coming over, Lao Bao left the door open. Fang Tiancheng sat down on the sofa, and Zhang Chen asked him, "Are you sure?" "Yes," Fang Tiancheng said. "In offices and research institutes, special attention should be paid to moisture and mildew." Zhang Chen and Fang Tiancheng said. "The climate in Hainan Island is very humid. I don't know much about Kayangshong. In Haikan, if no one enters the room for a week and there are no doors or windows for ventilation, there will be a strong musty smell, and the table will be wet. A layer of hair, which is different from Hangzhou, which only has this phenomenon during the rainy season. In Haikan, it will always be like this in summer, especially when these buildings are connected to the mountain." "I understand, Mr. Zhang." Fang Tiancheng nodded. The next morning, Bao Tianbin, Zhang Chen, Zhang Xiangbei and Fang Tiancheng set out for Beijing, while Fang Tianchen's two assistants stayed in Kayangshong. Kayangshong Lianmiao Autonomous County and Beijing Lianmiao Autonomous County are more than 110 kilometers apart. One is at the northern foot of Wuzhishan Mountain, and the other is at the southern foothills of Wuzhishan Mountain. This section of the road is equivalent to traveling through Wuzishan Mountain. Fortunately, the road is very good. In addition to the provincial highway less than 20 kilometers in the middle, there is the Haisan Expressway at one end and the Shanghai Expressway at the end. The village they were going to was in Hekunling, in the opposite direction to Baoding County. They came down from Baoding Interconnection, entered the county road, and started to enter the mountains. After driving for more than 10 minutes, they arrived at a mountain kernel. The brand new buildings, Bao Tianben told them, were all moved down from Li village on the mountain, and the government provided subsidies for the construction of the houses. That kind of houseboat sounds like an intangible cultural heritage, but in fact it's very inconvenient to live in and the sanitary conditions are very poor. Not many people actually live in Li village now, and those who still stay there are all poor people. Old people and young people who are willing to leave have all come out to build houses, Bao Tianben told them. The car drove to the entrance of the village. There was a young man standing in a newly built octagonal pavilion at the entrance of the village. When he saw their car arriving, he walked out of the pavilion and waved to them. Zhang Xiangbei recognized him. He was the one who went to Xiaoqin's house last time for a party. During the period, one of the two young men I met was from the Hainan branch of Zaixian Shui. It's Xiaokuang, right? Zhang Xiangbei asked Bao Tianben. Bao Tianben nodded and said yes, Baoding is under his control. Bao Tianben stopped the car in front of Xiaokuang and pressed the window. Xiaokuang called Zhang Xiangbei Mr. Zhang and then said to Bao Tianben. You follow me. Can the car go in? Bao Tianben asked. Okay, the road inside is very wide, Xiaokuang said and turned around and walked towards the village. Bao Tianben drove the car and followed him. This village has been replanned. The roads in the village are very wide and clean. They are all cement roads. The houses on both sides of the road have basically the same layout. They are all 3-story buildings. In front of the houses is a yard. Even the styles of the houses are similar. Uniform style. It can be seen that the buildings here are uniformly designed by designers. The white walls, double sloping eaves and red tiles have absorbed the appearance elements of the ship roof. The most different thing is that the doors of every household have iron pipes. Yes, there are doors made of stainless steel and different materials, with different sizes and patterns. The house they were going to was not far from the village entrance. Not long after Xiaokuang walked in, he stopped at the door of a courtyard and asked Bao Tianben to drive the car into the courtyard. Bao Tianben parked the car and everyone got out of the car. A man who was sitting under the eaves and weaving grass pieces also stood up. This man is in his 60s, has sparse hair, and his skin is paler than the average Hainan asset. From the first glance, he seems to rarely work outdoors. Xiaokuang introduced them to him as Huang Daimao, a well-known thatched roof weaver. Zhang Chen and the others saw that what he had just been knitting were grass blades. The door of a room behind him was open, and half a room of dried grass blades were piled inside. On the other side, there were rolls of grass neatly stacked against the wall. Already braided grass pieces. Xiaokuang told them that these straw pieces were all for sale. In the past, every family of the Li people would weave straw pieces and store them because the roofs had to be renovated every year and grass pieces were needed. Nowadays, many people live in thatched houses. I don't know how to store grass slices at home, so I come here to buy them if I need them. The whole Baoding community will come to Master Huang to buy them. Xiaokuang saw that Zhang Xiangbei and the others didn't understand very well, so he explained that people now live down the mountain, but there are still old people living in some villages on the mountain, and the children of the old people still need to renovate their roofs. Also, there are many black pigs raised on the mountain, and the pig pens are all thatched houses. Zhang Chen looked at the pile of hay and asked, "Is this the palmetto?" Xiaokuang didn't know either. He looked at Huang Daimao and said, "Yes, it's Puque. Palm trees are similar to palm trees, but taller than palm trees. No wonder those boat-shaped roofs do not leak. Pom-pom trees themselves do not absorb water and are not easy to rot. They are the material for making koi raincoats. Zhang Chen remembers that when he was a child, every household used to make rice dumplings and tie them together. The rice dumplings are made of palm leaves that are very similar to the palm leaves. They won't get mushy no matter how you cook them in boiling water. The palm leaf is unfolded into a large fan shape. Cut an arc about a foot along the root and sew the edges with cloth. A cattail leaf fan, the old lady always carries it with her every step of the way. Looking at the dried sunflower leaves in this half of the room, Zhang Chen felt a little happy. He asked Huang Daimao, "Are there many craftsmen like him now?" Huang Daimao didn't say much. Young people don't learn this. Some of his own apprentices now drive minibuses, open restaurants, work as welders, and deliver food in Hiken. But there are no if you do this, you won't make much money. The main thing is that there is no future. Huang Daimao said, "Think about it, there are fewer and fewer thatched houses. Who will need straw rafts in the future? My son also learned this from me when he was a child. Now, he is raising black pigs. Even raising black pigs is more profitable than this. Aren't there a lot of folk villages and boathouse preservation villages being built now?" Bao Tianben said. "How many straw rafts does it cost? No one lives in it. That kind of thatched house is for tourists to see. It doesn't matter if it leaks or the straw rafts get messed up. Don't you think so? Like we used to, everyone lived in a thatched house. If there is a leak in the house, why don't you immediately raise the roof when the weather is fine? So every family must prepare a straw raft," Huang Daimao said. "Is it easy to harvest these sunflower leaves? Is there any seasonality?" Zhang Chen asked. Huang Daimao said, "There are plenty of sunflower leaves on the mountain, but the sunflower leaves used for roofing are usually harvested in autumn and winter. The sunflower leaves in autumn and winter are older and more durable after being exposed to the sun." Zhang Chen did the math and realized that this was just right. It was already early August, and by the time sunflower leaves were needed on the construction site, it would be autumn. "Brother, can you braid this again for us to see?" Bao Tianben pointed to the half-braided grass piece on the ground and said to Huang Daimao. Huang Daimao said yes. He sat down, stepped on one side of the grass with his feet, and put the sunflower leaves root to root and tip to tip. He braided the root part first, grabbed a handful of hay in his hand, and stuffed it into the cross. Between the two white vines, stuff them in and then make a cross, clamp the hay, and step on it tightly with your feet at the same time. Pick up another handful of hay and put it in, and the white vines make another cross. Repeat this, and when the dried white vine is almost finished braiding, add another piece, and keep braiding in this way until it is about 3 meters long, and this end is considered finished. On the other side, use white vines to clamp the handfuls of hay crisscrossing each other. When braiding this end, there is no need to add hay, and everything else is the same. Soon, a piece of grass 3 meters long and 1 meter wide, which Huang Daimao called a straw raft by himself, looked more like a straw mat and was woven by Zhang Chen. He rolled it up into a tube and piled it at the foot of the wall. Huang Daimao came out after putting away the grass pieces and asked them if they wanted to go to the thatched house on the mountain to see. Zhang Chen said he wanted it, and Huang Daimao led them out. The new village of the Li people was built in a mountain kernel. The original old Li village was on the hillside behind the village. Huang Daimao told them that the previous thatched houses were most afraid of rain and water, as the water would rot the foundation, so thatched houses were built on hillsides to prevent them from being flooded. Unlike today's houses, even if they are built in this valley, you won't be afraid of heavy rain. "Do you still like living in your current house?" Zhang Chen asked. "That's for sure. There is no water in the old village, so people have to carry it. There is no toilet. People and pigs live in the same place. How good do you think it is? Those who say that thatched house is so good, let them go there. Let's live in a thatched house and see if he can still say this," Huang Daimao said. But people say that boat-shaped houses are a tradition of the Li people, Xiao Kuang said. The tradition of us Li people is that they are still Li people if they are burned to ashes. It has nothing to do with where they live. Look, there are so many people living in buildings at the foot of the mountain. Are they not Li people? Or, they are everywhere. Li people are also burned to ashes, Huang Daimao said. Zhang Chen praised, brother, what you said makes sense. It's just like us Chinese. Even if we live in New York, Manhattan, and Long Island, we are still Chinese. If you think you are not Chinese, white people will not recognize you, won't treat you as a Caucasian. Michael Jackson is bleached, but he is still black, Fang Tiancheng said. The old village is not far from the village. The group of people arrived just as they were talking. They walked all the way and usually wouldn't pay attention to it. But today they paid attention. Zhang Chen and the others saw a lot of wild palmettos on the roadside. Walking into the stockade, they found that the stockade was completely in ruins. Dozens of boat-shaped houses were scattered among the coconut trees. They were completely deserted. Huang Daimao told them that in other stockades, there would still be some old people staying in the stockade. Not used to living in high-rise buildings, everyone in our village moved out, leaving no one behind. The roads in the village are all dirt roads, and the doors of every thatched hut are open. Various farm tools are hung on the walls outside the hut, and old furniture is also placed inside. Huang Daimao said that after moving to a new house, these have not been moved down, they are all being built below. Huang Daimao Station knew that they came mainly to see the boat-shaped house, so they focused on introducing the boat-shaped house to them. The boat-shaped house has no windows and the light inside is very dim. Now, the entire village has lost power due to fire prevention. Fortunately, Xiao Kuang was prepared and brought 3 flashlights. Huang Daimao told them that the biggest fear of thatched huts is fire, not rain. If there is a leak in the house, the roof will collapse. If there is a fire, the whole house will be burned down. So everyone in the village has agreed that if someone's thatched hut catches fire, everyone in the village, regardless of whether you have any conflicts, must go to put out the fire, and the water in every water tank must be taken out. Those who do not participate in firefighting will be fined 300 yuan, Huang Daimao said. 300 yuan, Bao Tianbin asked. 300, 100 caddies of rice, 100 caddies of wine, 100 caddies of meat, Huang Daimao said. I'll go, that 300 yuan is not enough, Bao Tianbin shouted. If you go to help put out the fire, you won't be punished. If you don't put out the fire, you deserve to be punished to death. Huang Daimao rolled his eyes at Bao Tianbin, and Bao Tianbin quickly said yes, 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 he deserves to be punished to death. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you Su Yuinian, Hu, romantic cherry blossoms for reading frequently, taking a leisurely look, Huaxin Yongxiao, ABC 19791205, Traveler Ye Buzan, Zizhe, Fangquai, AC 777, Xiangzi Ian, struggling to persist, U20051224, Daos Hung 123, Zhang's huge monthly tickets for the 3rd floor administrator, Tamagotchi, Zongkai 727, Yite Phenol, the little brother who eats fish, Old Dibao Ei, Void Broken Dream, and How, East Long 888, Book Friends 201710221934424439, Book Friends 2021110914070089388790, Book Friends 201808030256355047. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2268. Inside the dimly lit boat-shaped house, there was a smell of rotten grass and a musty smell. Even if the door of the house was kept open, the musty smell would not go away. Zhang Chen is very familiar with this kind of smell. The construction sites he used to work in Heiken often had such a musty smell in every corner. It was very strange. This musty smell seemed to scare people. The same space, the same with good ventilation conditions, as long as there are people moving in this space, it is difficult for moldy smell to grow, but as long as people leave for 5 or 6 days, moldy smell will come here. Zhang Chen had discovered this a long time ago, but he still couldn't figure it out. The ground inside the boat-shaped house is mud, and there are several potholes on the ground. When the flashlight light is swept over, you can see that there is no water in these potholes, but they are wet. Huang Daimao raised his head and looked at the grass roof above, and told them that the roof should be renovated. Then, he whispered to himself, "Who will take care of it? No one will." Fang Tiancheng asked Huang Daimao, "Brother, do you have any particular requirements for making this boat-shaped house?" Huang Daimao cleared his throat, spat out a mouthful of phlegm on the ground with a ba sound, rubbed it with the sole of his shoe, and said, "When it comes to this, there are many things. The most important thing is the preparation of materials. The wood used to build the house is all lattice wood found in the mountains, that is, ironwood. It is cut down from July to September. The wood at this time is if there are no insects, after cutting it back, it should be stored for at least 1 year. If it can be stored for 2 or 3 years, it is best. Wait until the wood is completely dry before using it. There is also bamboo. Bamboo should be cut after the late rice blooms, and it is best to cut it around the winter solstice. Bamboo at this time is not prone to insects. After cutting it, it must be kept for a year. It must be dried in the shade and watered from time to time. Don't let it dry and crack. I told you that the sunflower leaves on the top are best grown in autumn and winter. They are harvested and dried in the sun. There is also the red and white vine. This is the easiest. You can use it anytime you pick it. You just need to dry it. Others are, the ground is made of clay. It is smoothed, tamped, and dried in the sun. This clay soil is as hard as cement. Before building a house, you need to lay the foundation first, and then wait for the foundation to dry in the sun before you start building the upper part. When Huang Daimao was talking, the 2 flashlights in Zhang Chen and Fang Tianquan's hands were shining upward. The 2 light beams seemed to be chasing each other in the house. They saw that the internal structure of the house was actually very simple. There are 3 upright pillars about 20 centimeters thick in the middle, more than 3 meters high, and 3 pillars about 2 meters high on each side. On the middle pillar, there is a ridge purlin. On the short pillars on both sides, there is a beam on each side. From the ridge purlin to the beam, there are rafters 1 by 1. The rafters are very messy, including moso bamboo and wood. There are also rungs in the middle, also moso bamboo and wood, and these rafters cross each other horizontally and vertically, forming a grid. Whether it is between the columns and the ridge purlins, or between the rafters and the cross pieces, they are all wrapped with rattan. There are no nails or mortises and tenons. The entire roof is supported by these woods and bamboos. Zhang Chen discovered that the biggest difference between this thatched house and the old buildings in Jiangsu and Zhejiang is that there are no herringbone beams on it. This is probably because the weight of the thatched roof is lighter than that of the tile roof. Huang Daimao told them that the 3 tall pillars in the middle are called Gee, which means men, and the 6 short pillars on the side are called Getting, which means women. Indicates that a family is composed of men and women. This ratio is wrong, 2 to 1. Brother, can't that one man have 2 wives? Bao Tianbin said. Everyone laughed, and Huang Daimao asked, "Yuhan people, in the past, every man only had 1 wife. There are groups of wives and concubines," Zhang Xiangbei said. This boat-shaped house is about 15 or 6 meters long and more than 6 meters wide. The total area is 80 or 90 square meters, which is not small. However, because the roof is low, especially when it reaches the edge, the roof almost touches the head. So it doesn't feel very spacious. In addition, it is divided into 2 rooms with a straw mud wall as high as 1 person. The front room has a 3-stone stove and is a kitchen and dining room, and the back room is the bedroom for the whole family. They walked out of the boat-shaped house and saw that there was a much smaller thatched hut next to it, about 8 to 10 square meters per room. The roof of the big hut was arched, and the top of the small hut was made of people. Font type. Zhang Xiangbei asked, "Is this small straw shed used to raise pigs?" Huang Daimao said, "No, in our stockade, the pigs are all free range. They run around in the stockade during the day, and at night, they go to sleep in the pig pen under the eaves. This small thatched cottage is called Longui. It means a small house without a stove. We Li people, when children reach the age of 14 or 5, they have to separate from their parents. Boys have to go to the mountains to fetch wood and thatch to build themselves such a long boudoir. For girls, their parents help her prepare, help her build it. The main reason is that at this age, children have become sensible. It is not good for children to see what adults do at night. It is also inconvenient for adults to still live together, right?" Bao Tianben said that everyone laughed. All the people present were men. When men are together and familiar with each other, they are not so particular about their words. Huang Daimao also laughed and said, "Our Li village is backward, but we are not as conservative as Yuhan people. We are relatively open to the relationship between men and women. When we were young, our favorite thing to do was to play with the boudoir." Playing with Longui? What do you mean? Zhang Chen became interested and asked. At the same time, he handed over a cigarette. Huang Daimao caught the cigarette and Zhang Chen lit it for him. Huang Daimao took a breath, blew out the cigarette, calmed down, and said to them. One Longui is mainly antiphonal singing. In the evening, with nose flute, dongxiao and mouth bao, one goes to the female's Longui and sings, while the male sings opening the door song, which means I'm here, you want me to go in? If the woman doesn't want to, she will sing the barring door song to reject you and let you go to another long boudoir to play. If she is willing, she will sing to you and open the door at the same time. After entering, the man will sing please sit down and ask the woman if she would like to sit down. The woman will sing in antiphonal and agree. The next step is to sing in antiphonal ballads, play bao and flute, and play like this all night long. That's it, nothing else, Bao Tianben asked. Huang Daimao laughed and knew what Lao Bao meant. He said, if you want to play something else, just sing it, such as courtship songs, loyal love songs, etc. If you like the other person, give her your straw hat. If a woman gives you a straw hat or a flower ribbon in return, it means that she also likes you. Between men and women, it is not uncommon to have children while they are playing in the boudoir. The adults at home will not scold you, and the people in the village will not gossip about you. Brother, when you were young, you must have been suave, talented, and had a lot of girls, right? Bao Tianben asked. Huang Daimao chuckled and said, my son is the one I had when I was playing in the boudoir. Everyone burst into laughter, and Bao Tianben shouted, it's really amazing, brother. Come on, brother, sing for us and let us see something, Zhang Chen said, and the others also applauded. Huang Daimao sat down on a wooden board that was stretched horizontally under the eaves and was set up on 2 mud piers. It was used as a bench. The other people were standing or sitting, waiting. Huang Daimao started to sing, and his voice was a bit loud. He was hoarse and spoke Li dialect. Others could not understand what he was singing, but the affection on his face and the mischief in his voice made them feel the love between a man and a woman. As Huang Daimao sang, his eyes crossed the rows of roofs of houseboats that undulated like waves in the stockade. There were coconut trees and wooden telegraph poles scattered in the stockade. Outside the stockade, there was a patch of green, with tall coconuts and betel nuts. Trees, the short one is the palmetto tree. The stockade is located on a flat piece of land on a hillside. The wind blows from the woods around the stockade and then to the woods on the other side. Huang Daimao looked at the coconut trees and betel nut trees swaying in the wind, and his voice slowly began to change. The low tone was no longer the relaxed and playful style. When Zhang Chen listened, he felt a sadness in his voice. Everyone fell silent and listened silently. Huang Daimao finally finished singing, his eyes were still in the distance and he didn't speak. The other people were also silent and didn't speak. After a long time, Huang Daimao sighed and said, "The village where we have lived for several lifetimes now doesn't even have a dog." Zhang Chen took out a cigarette and handed it to Huang Daimao. Huang Daimao took it and lit it. Zhang Chen asked, "Brother, do you miss life here?" Huang Daimao thought for a while and said, "It's hard to say. At that time, the hardship in the village was really painful, but everyone was suffering, so we didn't feel the pain. In addition, he was young and carefree every day. Nothing happened, just a few people, each holding 2 sweet potatoes, started gambling. The winner went back with a bunch of sweet potatoes, and the loser went back empty-handed." Zhang Chen and the others laughed softly, and Huang Daimao said, "At that time, everyone in the same village was more like a family. We would either lower our heads or raise our heads to see each other. When entering someone's home, you have to lower your head. When walking on the road, you have to raise your head. It's such a big village. Take a look. What you do can be seen by everyone in the village. If you fart in your own home, everyone in the village can hear it. When you encounter someone who needs help, just stand at the door and shout, and the person will come running over. It's different now. Now everyone has moved into the building, and once the courtyard door is closed, no one cares about who is doing anything else. Not to mention, I don't know many of the juniors in the village now. How could this happen at that time?" "I heard it, brother, you don't really want to move here," Zhang Chen said with a smile. "So what if I don't want to move? Life is gone. The life in this mountain is gone. Everyone else has moved down. People are starting to compete with each other. They are building new houses, but you don't want to build them? Do you want to live like this anymore? Even if we, the old ones, are willing to live in the thatched hut, even the younger ones are not willing to do it. Others are building new houses, but you don't. It's a shame. Besides, the government still provides subsidies." Huang Daimao sighed again as he spoke. Fang Tiancheng had nothing to say and asked, "Brother, how many layers does this roof usually have?" 2 to 4 layers, a little more on the top, a little thicker, and a little less on both sides," Huang Daimao said. In the middle of the arched ceiling, at the position of the ridge purlin, a row of straw rows is added. This row of straw rows turns the roof into an arc instead of a herringbone shape. The top of this row of straw rows is parallel to the roof. 2 moso bamboos were removed to hold down the straw rafts. In this way, the roof could not retain accumulated water and would not leak easily. At the same time, the straw rafts would not be blown away by the wind. "Brother, how often does this roof need to be replaced?" Fang Tiancheng asked. "Minor repairs are not necessarily necessary. Just repair any leaks. The grass roof is not reinforced concrete. No matter how easy it is for sunflower leaves to rot, there will be times when they rot. Generally, the entire roof will definitely need to be replaced every 5 or 6 years," Huang Daimao said. Zhang Chen looked at the roof in front of him. It was obvious that it had passed the age that Huang Daimao had mentioned that the entire roof should be replaced. The grass roof was no longer the withered yellow color, but had turned black. The bamboos pressing down on the grass roof had also turned black. It turned black, and the sunflower leaves in the rows on the thatched roofs of several buildings were broken and looked confused instead of one by one. "Brother, the thatched houses in this village were built a long time ago. Are they hundreds of years old?" Zhang Chen asked. No, Huang Daimao said, the first batch of thatched cottages have been demolished. These are only 20 or 30 years old, and they were all rebuilt later. What, did you encounter a typhoon or something? Zhang Chen's first thought was the invasion of natural disasters. No, it's the wood that those thatched houses were originally made of. It's not lattice wood, but huanghuali. Huanghuali is hard and won't rot. In those years, Hainan huanghuali became valuable, and many people came to our place. Not only us, there are people going to all the Li villages to collect huanghuali, and if the money is enough for you to build a new thatched house, everyone will definitely sell it. So all those old houses were demolished and rebuilt, Zhang Chen asked, and Huang Daimao nodded. Hainan huanghuali, which is more than 20 centimeters thick, is not generally expensive, but can be said to be expensive. When someone knows that many of these old boat-shaped thatched houses in Li village use huanghuali, come and buy huanghuali. People must flock to him like ducks, just like when Zhang Chen was a child, those people were recruiting Yuan Datu everywhere. No matter how simple the folk customs in Li village are, they can't resist those clever tongues. Even the home has been demolished. How could the life here mentioned by Huang Daimao not change? Even if he could sing again, he probably wouldn't be able to sing about the changes of the years, nor the misery and sadness inside. A group of people went down the mountain and returned to Huang Daimao's house. Bao Tianbin showed Huang Daimao the renderings drawn by Zhang Chen, and told Huang Daimao their purpose of coming this time. They wanted to invite Huang Daimao to Kayangshong to visit them. At work in the company, they were responsible for collecting sunflower leaves, drying them, and knitting sunflower leaves? Bao Tianbin and Huang Daimao said. Brother, you don't need to do it yourself. I will pair you with a few young men. You can just teach them how to do it. You will be the technical consultant. Given such an opportunity, Huang Daimao immediately agreed. He said, I can still do it. If I were not asked to do it, I would be afraid that something would happen to me. Zhang Chen thought about it and told them that in fact, we can plant a batch of sunflowers in the pasture, which can be used as shade and landscape. The most important thing is that in autumn, we can collect the sunflower leaves and dry them for later use. Such a large area of roof will definitely need daily renovation, so that Brother Huang can work on the ranch for a long time instead of just doing this one project. Both Zhang Xiangbei and Bao Tianbin thought Zhang Chen's idea was good. Thank you Tian Wei, Tiger, Li Rujin, On the Road Tian, Zhenwu Longyi, Fengkonghu 1974, Zipanjiang 1, Zongkai 727, Quadratic VC, Hu, Xiao Shen Nian Fang 48, Romantic Sakura Chin Shushu, Girl Killer VIP, Tamagotchi, 999 Little Stupid Cow 999, Love Purple, Happy Luhong, Void Broken Dreams, Yunlong Frogfish, Sand Dust Mood, Looking for Plums but Not Thirsting, Book Friends 2010105213311538, Book Friends 202011091113511923, Book Friends 201703031958399050. Monthly Pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2269. Zhang Chen and the others returned to Kayangshong from Baoding. On the way, he and Fang Tiancheng said that our project is based on the shape of a thatched hut. From a construction perspective, I think the structure of this boat-shaped house there is no redeeming feature, which can be said to be simplistic, maintaining the most primitive construction method. From a generational perspective, the mortise and tenon structure is its evolved version. Fang Tiancheng smiled and said, I think so too. In the past, temporary sheds at construction sites were all made in this way, using moso bamboo, bamboo strips and bamboo rafts. The moso bamboo was tied with bamboo strips to form a frame. The bamboo rafts were used as walls and roofs, and the top was covered with a layer of linoleum felt, and the work shed was set up. It can be used as a building for people and as a warehouse. Really speaking, the mortise and tenon structure is the most reasonable. Without herringbone beams, the roof cannot be strong. I think that our project still needs herringbone beams, and the layout of the rafters should be based on the practice of Jiangnan folk houses. The rafters are covered with a layer of anti-corrosion and waterproof plastic film, and a straw roof is added on top of the plastic film. In terms of appearance, it has its own personality, and the purpose of heat insulation is also achieved. Also, the ventilation of the cowshed must be good. If you use mud to ram the walls, you can improve the shortcomings of the boat-shaped house without windows. As Zhang Chen said, Fang Tiancheng kept nodding and said, "I understand, our project must still put functionality first." "Yes, that's what it means," Zhang Chen said. When they arrived in Kayangshong, Lao Xie and Mr. Han drove a 7-seater Audi Q7 from Haikan with a driver. They came to meet Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei, and then took them back to Haikan. Tomorrow morning, Zhang Chen and Zhang Xiangbei will return to Hangcheng from Haikan. Bao Tianbin and Fang Tiancheng will continue to stay in Kayangshong. When Zhang Chen and the others arrived at Lao Tan's hotel, Lao Xie and Mr. Han had already arrived. Lao Xie was still the same Lao Xie, wearing a silk floral shirt, grey trousers with a middle seam that could be cut into tofu, a pair of white leather shoes on his feet, and a trace of hair. Not messy, and wearing a gold watch on his hand, looking like an old-fashioned Hong Kong businessman. But Mr. Han, a real Hong Konger, has become a Hainan asset. He has a crew cut, wearing beach shorts, a blue t-shirt on top, and a pair of flip-flops on his feet. He saw Zhang Chen looking him up and down. "Just say, 'I'm sorry, Mr. Zhang. I was having tea with my friends when I was dragged over by Lao Xie. I didn't even have time to change my clothes.'" Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Okay, I feel relaxed when I see you like this. Mr. Han, if you were still dressed like you were, you would be putting pressure on me." Lao Xie and Zhang Xiangbei both laughed. They had seen Mr. Han's previous style. Mr. Han also smiled and said, "I can't go back, I can't go back. The most I can do is replace shorts with long trousers and flip-flops with leather shoes. I can't even remember how long it has been since I wore trousers and leather shoes." "Mr. Han is Xianyun Yehi now," Zhang Chen said, and Mr. Han smiled and nodded in agreement. While eating, Zhang Chen asked Mr. Han, "Do you still give lectures across the country?" Mr. Han shook his head. He couldn't go on. There are too many masters now. In terms of bragging ability, I can no longer compete with them. I am resigned to being inferior. When someone comes to my class, he turns around and makes a PTT from the class notes, and he becomes him. Then I would create my own lesson plan, and then I would appoint myself an expert from the United Nations, and then I would start giving advice everywhere, and the leaders would say whatever they wanted to hear. I can't do such a thing. I can't look down on this old face, so I have no choice but to wash my hands," Mr. Han said with a wry smile. "The main thing is that Mr. Han has a bottom line," Zhang Chen said. "I still have a meal with Lu Changcheng every month. When I mention Mr. Han, he is full of praise, saying that Mr. Han is the kind of experts who can enlighten people and never avoid questions are almost extinct now." Mr. Han quickly waved his hand. "I don't dare to take it, I don't dare to take it. I dare say that you have to have leaders like Lu Changcheng and others to listen. Most of the time now, I know that what I say is in vain. Let's not talk about it anymore. Why should we ruin other people's enthusiasm?" "Lao Han is really capable," Lao Xie interjected. "Now our splendid China analysis report on the real estate industry is the most valued by major brokers." "This is also my last position," Mr. Han said with self-mockery. "Every year I provide training to people within the company and help come up with ideas. Fortunately, Director Tan will not take my words as a gust of wind. The fried beef bones here in Laotan are delicious. Zhang Chen likes them. Even Lao Xie and Mr. Han said they were delicious when they ate them for the first time. Lao Xie was surprised. He said, I often come to Kayangshong, why can't it be there? Have you ever heard of this restaurant and its delicious fried beef bones? As he spoke, he looked at Bao Tianbin, and Bao Tianbin quickly said, don't blame me, Mr. Xie, it was my first time to eat here when Mr. Zhang came last time. I, a comrade, opened this shop. He never told me. Zhang Xiangbei can prove this. Zhang Chen and the others returned to Hangzhou and found that there was one more person at home. Zhang Xiangzi saw Zhang Xiangbei coming back, so he patted his thigh and asked him to squat down. Zhang Xiangbei knew that Zhang Xiangzi was going to ride on him. On his shoulders, he squatted down obediently. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xiangzi did not climb on his shoulder, but encouraged Lu Wenqian to ride on Zhang Xiangbei's shoulder. The others laughed. Lu Wenqian suppressed her blush on Zhang Xiangbei's shoulder. Zhang Xiangzi and Zhang Xiangbei Xiangbei said, Bai Bei, I am going to be a primary school student. I can no longer ride on your shoulders. I will give your shoulders to Lu Wenqian. Zhang Xiangbei quickly said okay. Zhang Xiangzi asked Lu Wenqian, sitting on Bai Bei's shoulder, can you see very far? Lu Wenqian nodded quickly. Zhang Xiangbei went to Yongcheng that day, and returned to Hangcheng with Xiangnan the next day. Zhang Xiangbei came to pick up Tian Koqianyi and Mr. Zhang, and Xiangnan came to pick up Lamua. They were at Tuxianjiayuan University after having dinner at the hotel. We rushed back to Yongcheng. The next day, Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, and Tan Shehen were also invited back to Yongcheng to attend the opening ceremony of the Yongcheng International Street Theatre Festival. The three of them were on their way back to Hangzhou from Yongcheng. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan drank wine at noon. Tan Shehen drove in front and the two of them sat in the back seat. Zhang Chen received a call from Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, asking Zhang Chen where. Zhang Chen said, on the way back to Hangzhou from Yongcheng. What's the matter, brother Lu? Zhang Chen asked. It's a small matter. A few of my Taiwanese friends have encountered a situation and I would like to ask you and Zhuangzi to help you come up with ideas. Don't you guys have many ideas? Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Zhang Chen said yes, we still have about 40 or 50 minutes to return to the office. Brother, please come over. The Pole is with me. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, heard Tan Shehen's voice on the other end of the phone and asked, is Zhen Zhen here? Let her help us come up with ideas. She understands matters involving land. Zhang Chen didn't ask for Tan Shehen's opinion and just said yes. After putting down the phone, Zhang Chen K and Tan Shehen said, let's go to my office together. Brother Lu wants to see us if he has something to do. Tan Shehen nodded. The three people arrived at the gate of the half-acre field building and saw Han Jiaozu Lu Bang standing at the gate, chatting with Hagen. Seeing their car arriving, Hagen and Han Jiaozu Lu Bang said, we're here we are. Han Jiaozu Lu Bang turned around and saw Zhang Chen and the three of them getting out of the car. Everyone went upstairs and sat down together. Tan Shehen made tea for them. Zhang Chen asked Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, how are you now, brother? Okay, I am now a villager in the mountains and an old man in Longjing. I only enter the city once a week. If I hadn't been entrusted by someone to come to you, I would still be drinking tea in Longjing. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Well, Zhang Chen thought of Mr. Han whom he met the day before yesterday, and thought to himself, you, a Hong Konger, have become idle clouds and wild cranes, and a Taiwanese has become a mountain villager, but we three mainlanders are still busy every day. Like a newly unchained dog. Zhang Chen couldn't help but laugh. Lu Ligan asked, why are you laughing? Zhang Chen told them what he had just thought of, and the three of them laughed. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, "You can't let it go, but you can let it go. Now, even the important matters of your children have been solved. You can be like me, drinking tea every day and waiting to hold your grandchildren. We don't dare." Tan Shahan came over and sat down on the sofa and took over the conversation. "It's not our turn to hold our grandson, so we can only find something to do for ourselves." Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan laughed. They knew what Tan Shahan meant by saying this. There were 8 old people above them. If Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan had children, it would be their turn to take care of them. Can the 8 old people be settled? Do not know at all. Besides, this Xiangbei is about to go south to Hainan to start a business again. Xiangnan and Xiangbei are living separately. Children's matters are definitely not on their agenda yet, so don't look forward to it. After the greetings, Zhang Chen asked Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, what he was talking about on the phone. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, "It's like this. Some of my Taiwanese friends are in Jubao, which is not far from your logistics base. They have 2 factories there. When investment came in, the land was like what they picked up was only 8,000 yuan per acre. Their factory took a lot of land, totaling more than 140 acres. At that time, to be honest, they took the land, did an appraisal, mortgaged it to the bank, and even spent money to build the factory. It was like they had a factory in mainland China without paying a penny." Zhang Chen and the other 3 nodded. In those years, there were quite a lot of things like this. Not to mention Jubao, even Xiaosha Industrial Park, those foreign-funded enterprises that attracted investment only paid a few thousand yuan per acre for land, and they still enjoyed due to the tax-free policy. All the companies that are recruited have a large area and have a lot of greening and gardens in the factory area, so the floor area ratio is very low. Later, when the land in the development zone was tight, we tried to mobilize people to withdraw part of their land. The result was even more difficult. How many people were willing to spit out the meat they had eaten? Before Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said anything, the 3 of them thought that his friends might also have encountered this problem. Sure enough, Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, then told them that now, the real estate has been extended to Jubao. Land is money. Seeing that such a large piece of land is there is not much benefit created, so the local government should be friends. If you want to work, you want them to give back part of the land. The best thing is to simply relocate on their own, which means you can get out. Of course my friend is not willing. After holding it for more than 10 years, the land they occupy has become valuable. Now if they are asked to give it up, how can they be willing? Besides, the cost of acquiring the land was there at the time, so you just have to pay a premium. How much can it overflow? Whether it's relocation or downsizing, it's a big disadvantage for them, but it's not an option to just keep doing it like this and make the relationship very tense. So they came and asked me to help them. Come up with ideas. What ideas can I have? Now I am a villager in the mountains. I have not bothered for several years, so I thought of you. What does their factory do? Zhang Chen asked. Optoelectronic products are actually LEDs. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. How are the benefits? Zhang Chen continued. It's just that the benefits are not very good and they have become useless. No, they are worse than useless. That's why the local government wants to get rid of them. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, shook his head and continued. The benefits were good in the first few years, but now the situation is declining. It is getting worse year by year. In the field of lead, Baoan in Shenzhen and the ancient town of Zhongshan, Yuyao and Shangyu in the province, Nantong and Changzhou in Jiangsu have all started to develop, and have exerted a group effect. The cost of various local raw materials is very low, relatively speaking, they have no competitiveness. Zhang Chen and the 3 of them heard that this matter is indeed quite troublesome. It is more than 140 acres, occupying such a large piece of land and producing no benefits. Not only is the factory owner under great pressure, but the local government is also under great pressure. Now in the villages and towns surrounding Hangzhou, there is very little land that can be developed, and the land quota is very tight. For this kind of land, even if the towns and villages are indifferent, the higher UPS are also watching. The three of them lowered their heads and thought. After thinking for a while, Zhang Chen said, if we force ourselves to do it like this, it is definitely not the answer. We must transform. At the same time, we must have a story that can be told to everyone. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, nodded, I think so too. Even for their own good, they must transform. Failure to transform is a dead end. But for them, it is also difficult to transform. They don't have any core technology, so we don't have much money, and now is not the same as in the past when you could get things done with just a few 100,000. Whatever you do now requires huge investments. Let's build a creative town, Tan Shuhen said. Now the government encourages this. There are a lot of stories about creative towns. Come up with an idea, change it into a creative town, and then attract investment. This for the local town government. First of all, it can be decent and can be included in its annual summary. Liu Ligan and Zhang Chen both supported Tan Shuhen's idea. Liu Ligan said, if more than 140 acres of land are transformed into a creative town, it is enough. Moreover, if it is transformed into a creative town, their management team does not need to be disbanded, as long as it is transformed. This is a good idea. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, if it can be transformed into a creative town, it can indeed change their current predicament, and no one will bother them anymore. However, there are so many creative towns now, and they are all it is built on the basis of local industry, and they don't have any industrial foundation there, so they can't be in lead town, right? You can make a market, Zhang Chen suddenly said. Are you crazy? Tan Shuhen shouted. Jubeo has built so many new markets, and now they are all half dead, and you still want to join in the fun? You want to build one, but no one dares to approve it now. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you for your monthly votes on the road. Tian Tian, 1, Rainman, 8 Liang, Windenwing, Dong Long Dong, Lao Chen Tang, Tiger, Book Friends 201706080821177700, Book Friends 1611222135011799. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2270. It's not a wholesale market, but... Zhang Chen changed the subject and asked, do you know that the community is now cleaning up the treasure cellars? Why? Liu Ligan asked. Other residents have objections. Things are being moved up and down, occupying the elevator, and people are coming in and out. Also, they are still doing business at night when others are sleeping. In addition, there are so many goods piled up in the room. There may also be safety risks, Zhang Chen said. This has not been cleaned up for many years. When you built the Sky City e-commerce park, it was already being cleaned up. It's not just starting now, Tan Shuhen said. Liu Ligan sounded a little confused and didn't know what they were talking about. It's no wonder that when Zhang Chen was working on the Sky City e-commerce park, Liu Ligan was still under the grape trellis of Hongling Reservoir. He had no idea what happened here. Everything is unknown. It's no longer the same, Zhang Chen said. Today's Dabao sellers are not just selling goods. They are also doing live broadcasts at home. Live broadcasts are even more noisy, and other people at home have greater opinions. You mean, build another Sky City e-commerce park? Tan Shahen asked, understanding why Zhang Chen said this. It's all the same, Zhang Chen said. What we build in Sky City is an e-commerce park, but not all of the tenants are Dobeo or Pinduoduo sellers. Many of them are software companies and small businesses technology company. Now, the supply of housing there exceeds the demand. The second phase of the reconstruction after my clothing factory was moved has also been attracted investment, but it is still not enough. Hagen told me that all the sellers who came here were ready to do live broadcasts, and they were on all platforms. I still didn't believe it. Now that live broadcasts are so popular? Ask Lu Yun. She told me yes, it is estimated that within 2 years, there will be at least 100,000 live broadcasters in Hangzhou. Now if you go to the Sijiking market, they are all doing live broadcasts. Tan Shahen's eyes lit up and she asked, what do you mean, do you want to create a live broadcast market? Zhang Chen said right, just do it, the market is too ugly, it's a bit low, it's still called a live broadcast base, no, it's not a small town, let's make a podcast town, and renovate those factories into a large area different independent spaces are rented to them. Yes, podcast town is okay, Your Majesty, Lu Ligan shouted. When Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, first started, he didn't know what they were talking about. But now he understood what they were talking about. He also felt that this project was very good. In that place, it was very good to be a podcast town. For live broadcasting, there were no transportation requirements. So strict, it doesn't have to be in the city. Although Jibao is a bit far away, the rent is cheaper than in the city. The most important thing is that if it is a podcast town, the network will be better than other places. There will be no lags and disconnect ions. This is incomparable to ordinary communities. At the same time, other logistical services can be provided. Zhang Chen said, there is no such town in Hangzhou yet. If we do it now, we still have gimmicks to pull off and stories to tell, and the local government will definitely support it. Formally, it is very similar to the market below me. The rent received from doing this, after deducting the initial investment, is basically the net profit. Daily expenses are all included in the property fee. It is definitely more cost-effective than your friends and others to run a factory. It's also higher than the rent for renting out their factories. No, if they only rent out the factory, they will definitely not be able to stay there. They will be evicted, and they can't rent it now. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, building a creative town will be different. Yes, the wine is still wine, just a new bottle, Tan Shahen said with a smile. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, I will call them immediately. Lu Ligan became interested. He stood up and said to Lu Bang, the emperor of Han dynasty, why don't you call us? We will go directly to the site and see if the place is suitable for this project. When the other three heard that it made sense, they all stood up. The two cars drove to Jibao. Lu Bang's car drove in front, Zhang Chen sat in the passenger seat, and Lu Ligan drove behind them. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, asked Zhang Chen how Hainan was. Zhang Chen told him. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, laughed and said, why does this Baibai like to do these things so much, selling vegetables and raising cattle? Young people are generally not willing to do these things. According to Baibai's conditions, he should learn from Xiaofang, invest and work hard. It was all done by others, and he was just gesticulating from the sidelines. Zhang Chen smiled and said, I don't understand either. Little brother, you can't even understand your son. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, laughed and said, however, the first time I went to the mainland was to Hainan. Have I told you before? Zhang Chen shook his head, you told me that you had been to Hainan. I didn't know that when you came to the mainland, you went to Hainan first. Hainan is very similar to Taiwan. When I went there for the first time, I wanted to plant pineapples in Hainan. Is it very similar to that in the north? Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Why didn't you stay in Hainan later? Zhang Chen asked. Hi, I went with two friends. As a result, they were quarreling every day and almost started fighting. I was caught in the middle and it was hard to be a good person. I couldn't do anything anymore. How could I do anything? I just broke up, so from now on after that, I understood the truth that friends are friends and business is business. Never do business with friends, otherwise you will lose all your friends. Liu Bang, the founder of the Han dynasty, said, and Zhang Chen nodded. He remembered that he had heard Liu Bang, the founder of the Han dynasty, say this before. It still made sense. Including him and Liu Ligan, they intuitively felt that it was better for the two of them to do their own thing and try their best. Don't mix them together. Here in Jubeo, there has been a lot of development in the past 2 years. Except for the vicinity of their logistics base, even Zhang Chen doesn't know how to get there. A lot of new roads have been opened, the new bus terminal has been moved from the East Station, and a large new market has been built. The new market was originally intended to be used to transfer the Sijiking market, but after it was completed, the Sijiking market the resistance to demolition was too great, so the matter was shelved. As a result, Sijiking was still a clothing distribution center and continued to be crowded with people, while the market here in Jubeo was deserted. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, pointed to a factory building in front of him and said to Zhang Chen, "This is it, this large area is covered." Zhang Chen saw a large 4 or 5-story standard factory building in front of him, with a row of iron fences erected outside. A road separated them from them. One community had been opened, and another community was under construction. The road here, also brand new. Are they all in this courtyard? Zhang Chen asked, and Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, was right. Let's go around the factory area first. Zhang Chen and Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said yes. He pressed down the car window, stretched out his hand, and made a circle in the air. Liu Ligan, who was driving behind them, understood that they were going to make a circle. They drove along this road until they reached the end. There was a river in front of them, and the factory area also reached the end. After crossing the bridge, they turned right and drove on the other side of the river. There was a long stretch of factory area on this side. Drive to the intersection in front and turn right. On this side of the road is the factory area and on the other side is the newly built 3-story Jubeo New Village. All the original villagers are concentrated here. Along this road, we first passed the gate of the first factory, and then passed the second factory. The two factories were only separated by a wall. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, told Zhang Chen that the two of them came together at that time and took this place. Got off. Drive to the front and turn right. Across the road is another newly built community. This side is the wall of the factory. The fire in this real estate is burning right under your eyes. It can still keep you alive until now. Zhang Chen thinks it's pretty good. It should be for the sake of Taiwan-funded enterprises. If it were a domestic-funded enterprise, you would have been told to get out, and this place would have been fully developed. This place is really not small, Zhang Chen said. He looked down all the way and saw that there were about a dozen standard factory buildings, dormitories, and office buildings inside. Even so, it was still very spacious, especially the last section of the road they passed through. Inside the iron fence, the entire area was an open space. Do those who make LEDs need such a large factory area? Zhang Chen asked, doubtful. Liu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, laughed and said. At that time, I was a little bit cautious. I wanted to build the factory and go back to Taiwan to make money and attract other factories to come with me. As a result, At that time, all parts of the mainland were attracting investment. Investment in Taiwan was very popular, and people everywhere extended their hands to welcome it. Those factory owners are not fools. After they came here, they bought their own land and built factories. Who would come to pick up this second-hand one? I have no choice but to use part of it myself and rent out part of it. But in the past 2 years, I can't rent it out, so I have to leave it empty. Why? Factory buildings in Hangzhou should be in short supply now, and many factories are renting houses in Haining, Zhang Chen said. Business and industry won't apply for a license. Anyone who wants to rent a factory here will not be granted a license by the Industry and Commerce. They can't even change their business address here. They also warn those factories that if you operate without a license, we will often come to check. Hanzhou's Lu Bang said. I'll go, this is a naked attempt to drive people away, Zhang Chen said. That's what I mean. If you know what's going on, you'd better go on your own. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, it's not easy to handle Taiwanese companies. You can't go too far. There is a Taiwan Business Association and a Taiwan Affairs Office. Zhang Chen nodded, if the enterprises in the mainland would have been driven away long ago, if you don't leave, there are 10,000 ways to kill you. As Zhang Chen said this, he thought of the scene where his factory was being rushed back and forth. After returning to the starting point, Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, pulled over and stopped, followed by Lu Ligan. The 4 people got out of the car and walked into the shade of a tree. Lu Ligan said. Okay, this place is nice and big enough. It would be perfect if it could be turned into a podcast town. I'll make a call to see if they're in the factory. If they are, can we go in and sit down? Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, asked them, and both Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan nodded. Tan Shahen looked sideways at them, her eyes scanning the long open space, as if she had not heard the words of Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you. Hu Zongkai 727, Wu Family Courtyard, Book Friends 1611222135011799, Book Friends 201707291123288867 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2271. Hey, Tan Shahen, what are you thinking about? Zhang Chen shouted. Tan Shahen said turned around and said to them. There are actually things that can be done here. If it is converted into a creative town, according to the regulations, some supporting commercial land can be provided, and a part of the transfer fee can be paid to change the land use. This piece of industrial land can be changed into commercial land. Don't you think the benefits from using the land will be greater? In this case, can this place be used as a business office? Zhang Chen asked. From one end to the other, it's enough to build 2 or 3 buildings, so you can do anything, Lu Ligan said. I just looked at this neighborhood. There are no commercial blocks. But with so many residential areas around, the flow of people will not be small. It is completely possible to build 2 buildings in the name of supporting housing in the podcast town and rent them out for commercial purposes, like supermarkets, KFC, Pizza Hut, and Starbucks can be brought in, and express hotels and movie theaters can be opened upstairs, Tan Shahen said. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, laughed and said, okay, if you 2 get together, you will turn even a brick into gold and sell it. Zhang Chen laughed loudly and said, yes, that's right, one of them is a wolf and the other is a ferocious one. It's not like one family doesn't want to enter the same house. You, Tan Shahen scolded. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, picked up his mobile phone, dialed, and asked the other party if he was in the factory. The other party said he was. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, told him that I had arrived with my friends and would come in immediately. Then he called the owner of another factory. The other person said that he had just gone out to the city. Your mother, come back right away, we are at Han Sheng's place. Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, hung up the phone after saying this. The two cars stopped in front of the factory's office building. Zhang Chen and the others did not enter the office building. Instead, they walked around the entire factory area. Only one of the 6 standard factory buildings in this factory had people working, and there were still people working in it. There are only 2 floors, and the doors of other factory buildings are locked. It's a mercy that such a factory hasn't been evicted yet, Lu Ligan said. This is worse than a partial shutdown. Is there any way? There used to be 3 or 4 factories rented here, which also made clothing. Now they can't rent them out, so they can only stay here empty. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan asked why they couldn't rent it out. Zhang Chen told them what Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, had told him earlier. Lu Ligan said. This is considered merciful. If we catch up with the demolition, there will always be someone who can cure you. In the end, you can only go away obediently. After walking around for a while, everyone walked into the office building together. The first floor was in tatters, the lights in the corridor were dark, there was a big hole in the ceiling, and half of the gypsum board was hanging down. Lu Ligan cursed. Let me go, Your Majesty, you Taiwanese people, have you transferred all the money you earned back to Taiwan? This office is the face of the factory, and you don't even have any face. No, the results have not been very good in the past few years. They have not made much money, and they have no intention of moving. This place was originally rented to those factories as offices, and they moved away. That's it? In their own minds, those who are worried and unsure whether the place can be saved don't dare to renovate it, fearing that they will waste their money. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said that Zhang Chen had some sympathy for the boss after hearing this. There was no elevator in the office building, so the group of people walked to the second floor. The second floor was almost the same as the first floor. It turned out that it was rented to people as offices. The boss's office was on the 3rd floor. After walking to the 3rd floor, it became a little tidier. A man in his 60s and wearing glasses was standing at the top of the stairs waiting for them. When he saw them coming up, he shouted that his name was Han Jiaozi Lu Bang and he was also called the Emperor. When everyone entered the office, Lu Bang, the Emperor of the Han dynasty, introduced them. Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan met the owner of the factory, Chen Hansheng, and then introduced Zhang Chen and the others. They were all famous. When they introduced Zhang Chen, Chen Hansheng also asked the Emperor of the Han dynasty. Lu Bang. Isn't this boss Zhang the one who bought Yaoai's bungalow? Lu Bang, the Emperor of the Han dynasty, nodded and said yes. They were talking about the foreign house on Changsha Road in Shanghai. Everyone sat down separately, and a girl came in and made tea for them. A man hurriedly came in from the door. His age was similar to that of Han Emperor Lu Bang and Chen Hansheng. He was Xiao Hengta, the owner of the factory next door. Lu Bang, the Emperor of the Han dynasty, told Zhang Chen and his friends their ideas. Their eyes lit up. They also thought it was a good idea to turn this place into a podcast town. Not only did it become a podcast town, there would be no industrial pollution. The people here are all internet celebrities, which is also good for expanding local popularity. The town government should support their plan. While walking downstairs, Zhang Chen had some ideas. He asked Boss Chen for pen and paper. While drawing, he told them that since it was a podcast town, the overall layout should be more avant-garde and not old-fashioned. This place needs to be transformed into an open and relatively independent space. All the walls around the factory area have been demolished. There is a river on the other side. There is nothing to do. On the 2 sides, One side is the original villagers' community and the other side is the new residential area. There will be no shortage of people. 2 rows can be built. This side of the storefront building is close to the main road. Mr. Ten and Mr. Lu also mentioned earlier that this area should be converted into commercial land and 2 commercial and residential buildings should be built. This is also the facade of the entire podcast town, but these 2 buildings alone are not enough to form a commercial atmosphere. Inside, these exits are all open and the original factory buildings have been converted into the live broadcast room for rent on the first floor has been converted into various commercial shops. In this way, the entire podcast town has become a commercial district. It should be the largest commercial district in Jubeo. It can boost the business atmosphere of the entire area. If their business is good, your pockets will naturally be bulging. While Zhang Chen was painting and talking, other people kept nodding. Chen Hansheng and Xiao Hengde were also infected by Zhang Chen's plan. They became excited, but they calmed down immediately and looked at Zhang Chen's painting again. When I saw the entire layout, I felt that it was a pie drawn on paper. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, looked at them and said, "If you have any ideas, just tell my little brothers and them that we are all our own people, so just open the window and speak out." Chen Hansheng coughed and asked, "In this case, how much money will be needed to invest in the entire project?" Several people were stunned for a moment, and Tan Shuhen said, "The specific investment needs to wait for the entire plan to be released before making special calculations." "It will definitely be no less, right?" Chen Hansheng said, "It will require a comprehensive renovation, 2 buildings will be built, and the land transfer fee will have to be paid back. It will definitely cost 1 billion yuan, right?" "For such a large project, this investment is the most basic," Tan Shuhen said. Chen Hansheng looked at Lu Bang, the founder of Han Dynasty, and smiled bitterly. Xiao Hengde said, "Also, for such a large project, how many procedures need to be completed? How can we do this? We are originally working in factories and know nothing about these." Your mother." Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han Dynasty, looked at Chen Hansheng and Xiao Hengde and cursed. "What do you 2 mean? You don't want the government to take back this place and show you the way? You don't want to do this or that? What do you mean? Do you want to just stay here without moving anything? Is that possible? Don't." They said my little brothers can't do it, even if I bring you a provincial governor today, they still can't do it? Chen Hansheng quickly said, "Your Majesty, that's not what I meant. This project is indeed a good project, and we also want to do it, but... Chen Hansheng couldn't speak anymore, so Xiao Hengde took over and said, "Your Majesty, you also know our situation. If we get 10 to 20 million, we can still do it, but for such a large investment, our strength does not allow it." Now that the conversation had been raised, Chen Hansheng felt nothing embarrassed anymore. He said, "Your Majesty, either way, how about you come and cooperate with us on this project? Your Black Forest is a listed company." Before Chen Hansheng could finish speaking, Lu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, was already waving his hand. "I don't care about the company's affairs now. I leave them to Minsheng and the others. I won't suddenly jump in now and disrupt their arrangements. Also, you all know my temper. I won't. Doing business with friends, you are not my friends." Chen Hansheng and Xiao Hengde looked at each other. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, looked at Zhang Chen and the others, and said to Chen Hansheng and the others, "Since you are willing to cooperate with others, each of my 3 brothers has the ability to do this project. Anyway, we are all our own people. Let's see if they are interested. If they are not interested, don't force it. If so, if you are interested, you can cooperate. I am an outsider, and I can also be your guarantor, guaranteeing that neither of you will do anything extraordinary." Chen Hanzhong and Xiao Hongtong nodded repeatedly. Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, looked at Zhang Chen and the others, and Lu Ligan shouted, "Your Majesty, are you trying to command our army in front of us, and are you going to make our father-in-law the master of the matter?" Several people laughed, and Lu Bang, the emperor of the Han dynasty, said, "Yes, Pole, you even know this Minnan dialect." Zhang Chen approached Tan Shehen and said softly to her, "This is really a good project. Neither I nor the Pole are suitable. It's your job, so you go ahead." Tan Shehen smiled slightly and asked Chen Hanzhong and Xiao Hongta, "Boss Chen and Boss Xiao, can you make the decision on the affairs of these two factories?" "We can definitely make the decision regarding matters in our own factory," Chen Hanzhong said, while Xiao Hongtong nodded beside him. Tan Shehen said, "We at Splendid China can cooperate with you on this project. The three of us will jointly set up a company. We will hold 40% of the shares, and you will each hold 30% of the shares. The existing land and for the factory, we entrust a third party to do the appraisal. We will give you a 20% premium on the appraisal price as your investment. We, Splendid China, invest purely in cash, so that we have start-up funds for development and renovation. If the funds are not enough, I can raise funds externally. As a shareholder, Splendid China can also lend part of the funds. You see, this plan was simple and clear. Chen Hanzhong and Xiao Hongta understood it as soon as they heard it, and they immediately said yes. "However, you have to give me 2 days first," Tan Shehen said. "I will go to several departments to find out first whether there will be any obstacles in doing this. If not, we can sign a cooperation agreement." "Okay." Both Chen Hanzhong and Xiao Hongta said yes. "Thank you Brokeback Mountain for the tip. Thank you Zipanjiang1 and FMC 196804424 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone."